Welcome to Champagne Football Lemonade Banter. This season is brought to you by the Lightweight Athletic Club.
Whatever you're watching us on, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Down there.
Sexy stuff.
Brilliant stuff, man.
The sexiest podcast we've ever had.
I know,
This man.
got a suit on as well.
Sexiest.
He's got the arse coat with that suit as well.
Massive marketing tactic. We're then from this releasing sexy football on.
Mate. If you boys win the Premiers or the Grand Final, you have sexy football on. I'm buying a t-shirt, man. That'll be sick, man.
Wear that in Brazil for the off-season, Franco, and then
Brazil. Loves
Brazil?
it.
bro, yeah.
Loves it.
You
Love a
every year?
bit of solo travel, bro.
Aye, well, look, lads, thanks very much for coming on. Brilliant.
Thanks.
I know you're busy. Well, you're not as busy.
Nah, absolutely not. I'm just getting bullied by 12-year-olds on PlayStation all day, so it's refreshing to speak to people.
Well, mate, when you first arrived, I actually thought you bought the Waratah Cup with you, but it turns out it's just your ears.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it is. Although, yeah, we still won that Waratah Cup, didn't we? Who scored that first goal?
Big Michael.
Did you score the first goal?
I header.
Yeah, actually, MVP.
Was that APIA in-house vote, or was that the official?
No, apparently Football New South Wales like to go to me.
And they're usually pretty accurate with their team in a week and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
they're absolutely terrible with that. Absolutely terrible. But anyways.
Class.
Well, mate, look, obviously MCL injury, and you don't know when you'll be back, so banter aside, hopefully quick recovery, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Right, we'll get stuck into Roundup again because we've got a fair chunk of decent careers to get through.
Oh, we do.
So, let's go through start with your boys' games. Obviously, good win, plenty of goals, and keeping the goals out the other end, which is good.
Yeah.
So, you want to talk us through, Franco? You're the best place to talk about that.
Yeah, we've been talking the last few weeks, and I'll keep it a little serious for a little bit, then we can play it up a bit.
Back in.
It was one of those games we put it together for the greater part of the game, and that's been a building from round one through. So now we up to a point where we feel as though we're piecing the game nicely, and we're all about sexy football. So if you really watch the goals, it's not me just getting excited. I get excited, yes, of course, but have a look, and it's there in its own life.
Well, you've scored about 28 goals, is that right?
Not yet 28, but hopefully.
28 by the weekend, Dom.
23 goals.
23
scored.
goals in 7 games. It's pretty fucking sexy.
That is.
And when you look at them, some of them are really.
Oh, Jack
really
Short's a cracker at the
Yeah.
weekend.
That was
There was, I can't remember obviously all the goals you've scored, like any ones that stick out. That
even Prez Ortiz's first goal was a good goal.
I don't know, he drove for halfway line.
Aye.
That's right.
Aye.
Yeah, he's just taken off.
Defending wasn't great, was it?
I know, but
he had the whole half
That's
space
true.
to himself the whole way up the pitch.
Well, from your perspective as a keeper, I mean, the Jack Stewart goal, is that savable? It's unsavable, right? He's hit it with so much power
Chaz,
and
if you've not
accuracy.
like that, so every single week we look at goalkeepers thinking he'll help us. He just says, keeper should have saved it. Keeper should have done better every single time.
I look for me. It's like great. He's hit it well, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's like here for the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it's again, maybe it's me just being like NPL on goalkeepers expecting really, really good things all the time.
Yeah.
But I think they'll look at it and think I maybe could have done
But
better.
right, so here's a question, but from a goalkeeper standpoint, I can't really, because obviously from NPL TV you can't see the exact angle. You know better than me. So if Jack's at a certain angle, is it more likely he might square it or cut it back as opposed to strike it from there, and is maybe caught, maybe the keeper's gambled a little bit?
That's
Yeah.
it. But I think
Because from there, like an Aguero finish style, it has to go roof.
Rocket, it has to go. And that's it. They're probably the only place he would have scored where he's hit it, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I think that you look at now, goalkeeping coaching's become very protect the space as opposed to protect the goal. So for me, it's very they're always thinking about the space that's in front of them,
right.
as opposed to being like, I'm going to stop this first and then think about that and trust what's in there to deal with what might come.
And you're spot on, because that keeper, if you watch him, he's quite impressive. He was always intercepting across.
Yeah.
So definitely he's looking at the space.
I was reading it, aye.
He's not expecting Jack Stewart to pop that in
pop
there.
it, and
and
he's
then
hit it
after
well.
the game, I said to Stewart, I said, literally, he would have to be standing there and ready for that to have saved it, because there's no way he's saving that
Yeah,
shot.
no, he hit it well. He did hit it
I
well.
feel like he just snapped at it as well. Like it sort of came out of nowhere. He was about to drop the shoulder inside because that's what he was doing for so long. And then just touched
Just
it out
hit it.
and bang. Like it was
Yeah.
just quick. So it's vintage Stewie.
And
Yeah.
full
Lovely
credit,
to
he's
see.
done that in the warm-up. So as we're preparing for the match, just before we've gone out, he's going to just play 1-2. He's got it on the same angle,
Oh, really?
popped it into the same area.
Yeah.
And even last week, he hit the crossbar doing the same thing. So it's for all those young boys out there, if you're listening, practice.
Of
Yeah,
course.
practice,
Damn,
100%.
practice all the time.
But
It
Jack
works.
Stewart loves a shot, doesn't he? Shoots you everywhere, which I love. Every time I watch him, I'm like, he's going to shoot. They all shoot, and a lot. I mean, obviously some are wayward, but I think that sometimes is missing.
No, I agree.
Games now, so it's like try to walk it in,
Walk it in.
man.
But you say that, and I'm going to jump a wee bit here. Did you see the amount of times that Sutherland Sharks hit shots from outside the box?
Yeah.
Who's that? Who's that against?
Sutherland played Central Coast Mariners.
Yeah.
And they must have had about 7 or 8 strikes
I remember the game.
from between 30 and 20 yards. But like, and it was nice to see.
Yeah.
Because you don't see it often, as you say. Like now it's very, how can we get 10 yards out in the centre of the goal, then we finish. But it was nice to see them just smashing the ball.
They've got boys that can hit them as well, to be fair, like Grozos and the Petrados boys. So they can definitely hit them.
Grosers' free kick last week was
Yeah.
a worldie, man. It was a cracker. What about defensively? Obviously, you boys have sort of shaped up a wee bit there after losing
Yeah,
the big
so
man.
once I stepped out of the team, everything seemed to be sorted. So it was,
But what do you think was happening at the start of the year? Because you were smashing, as you said, you were scoring a lot of goals, but you were conceding a lot.
Yeah.
Anything in particular? Did you change anything? Are you going to step in here, big man? MVP again?
yeah, so I think we were trying something as well. We worked in the pre-season on changing to a 3-back.
He's went five
five
yeah,
back.
5 to 3, yeah.
And I think it was looking really good in pre-season, but I think we were just adapting maybe to the pace of the NPL 1 teams, possibly. I think we will still have success using that throughout the year, though, to be honest. I feel like it was getting to a point where it was getting a bit better defensively, and just sort of, I think you speak to even the senior boys about it, and they're like, yeah, we've never played this system, and so it's something new for all of us, but it's quite good to do something refreshing as well.
Well, it's good to know if you've worked on it in the pre-season. It's good that you've got it in your locker.
Yeah.
To go back to it, and
Exactly
especially
right,
because formations nowadays is pretty fluid, isn't it? It's just basically about the principles of how you're playing and the
Yeah.
players you've got available to you as well. Because 5-2-3, in my opinion, you do need very particular characteristics, especially in the fullback or wide areas.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have them, it doesn't really work. Because it's an absolute shift, man.
Yeah, I think that as you say as well, if you get to round 20 and you've been playing a 4 for X amount of weeks, and all of a sudden the team you're playing against know it's going to be a good game, you come out with a 3 at the back because you are comfortable doing it. It then gives you a good opportunity to obviously catch teams unaware that have been preparing for you to play a certain way.
I feel like that's what we're looking at as well, because teams set up like they sort of know how the APIA way of play.
Yeah.
And we've been playing that for a fair few years, so having something else in the locker to switch it up, if maybe the game's more like in the future might be better for a 5-back for us, so we can just switch to that and just keep bopping teams.
Yeah, pass.
What about Wanderers? How did you find them? Any one of you, how did you find?
I'm just going to be honest with it. Like I feel like they had no answer for our front 3 running at them. Like if you do look at the goals, like it's like Sega picks up the ball and they turn their back and they just sprint towards their box. Like I feel like they were so scared. I feel like they gave us a lot of respect, which is probably deserved. But yeah, I felt like I didn't feel like they defended well at all.
But I think about Wanderers, when we played against them, I mentioned this after we played them, I think if you score early against the Wanderers, it can get quite bad for them because they're very gung-ho and all high energy. But as soon as you score, obviously the game plan has to change. You can't leave yourself as exposed at all. They have to come out even more to try and get back into the game, and then the spaces just open up. Because when we played against them, they were like 4, 5, 6 bodies forward, and even though they were on top of us, every time we went forward, I thought we were going to score here.
Yeah.
But they scored first. So the dynamic changed quite a bit, but you scored 5 minutes, 6 minutes or something like that. And I think that changes the game dramatically, man. I don't know when I can't remember when the second goal was, but tough to come back from that.
Yeah, Sega's goal that game, like we talked about Stewie's goal, but Sega like fucking picks up that ball.
He's a good
just
player, man.
drives in, and cuts in, whips it around the defender. Like that guy's class.
Yeah, it was a great finish.
It's so good to have Sega. Like
who's the main APIA? Who's it like that? I'll ask you, not Franco. Who's like the who's the main man at APIA? Who's the guy you're looking to change room? I think. Top man.
Sometimes I go to the mirror and I say, nah. I think a few boys might want me to say them, but
your opinion, who do you think it is?
My opinion, I think Sega.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. It's so good to have him on the squad. How he hasn't been picked up, it's our win, to be honest, because he's a weapon. He just plays almost like a European style winger. He's so direct, he's sharp. Marking him in training is absolute mission. So yeah, he's top. We have quality everywhere. So boys watching this, relax, don't stress. But Sega for me is class.
Aye, brilliant.
So see, you've obviously had Seiya Kambayashi, and he's been playing more of a kind of defensive role for in the past,
Yeah.
and it seems now he's more advanced. What brought the change?
So last season we brought him in and it just made sense to play him in that role, and that worked. But this year, like Michael touched on, with different formations, once we reassessed it and we looked at the squad and the attributes that Seiya has, allowing him to be a bit free in possession is amazing.
Oh, he's a weapon, mate.
He's deadly. He
Yeah.
can go any which way. So having him locked into a sideline or locked into a position isn't in his best interest, which means it's not in our best
yours
interest.
either, yeah.
So we've just explored that, and he's built on the last few games. So let's see how that looks another 4 or 5 weeks, because I think we're only seeing the start of
The
it.
start of it.
Well, when was it? Manly had more of a free role when he was incredible, man.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I remember when we versed Manly, that was it was one of them Friday night games that we notoriously hate. But Seiya just legit ran anywhere he wanted, and to be honest, that game we had no answer for him. And I was playing that game thinking, like, what position is this guy playing? He just would go wherever he wanted. Like,
He's tough to pick up.
And he was a left fullback.
Yeah, okay.
he played left fullback that game?
Yeah.
You would not know. I was marking half the time. Fuck.
Right, moving on, Chaz. What's the next game?
So I've went Manly at home to Spirit. You boys won 1-0.
Well, no, it wasn't a great game for a neutral.
It didn't look like it. Well, I mean,
the highlights,
aren't
come
great,
on,
to
man.
be honest, but
Right.
Nah, that was there was more than the highlights showed. It was a bit of a chess match. I think Manly have only conceded a few goals as well. They've only conceded, I think, 5. I'm not sure. I think Manly are similar.
yeah, 5 and 5.
Aye, so that game that summed it up a little bit. Both teams are pretty well set up. None of them obviously wanted to give up that first goal because we knew it'd be tough to get back into the game. And the goal came from the keeper, Levi Kay, spilling the ball, who had a decent game, but a draw could have been a draw, or it was going to be a 1-0. I think you could tell that by half time. Cromer Park's a nightmare on a Friday. It's just a hard place to go. Like, you're working all day and getting through that traffic. It took like an hour and 40 minutes. I came for Coogee as well.
Coogee,
Aye, it was a nightmare. So, but I think Manly looked very well structured. I just think maybe they lack a little bit up front. I think to get that colour. I mean, because they've scored 10 goals, I believe, or something, or 11 goals, but both came in the same games.
12. They've
12
scored
goals.
10, they've scored 10 in 2 games.
10 in 2 games. So
Aye.
I think that was against Central Coast and
Mount Druitt.
Mount Druitt.
Yeah.
I feel like I've watched like a few Manly highlight packages, and the videos go for 2 minutes. 30,
Packages.
or whatever it is, like highlight videos. And honestly, I reckon 45 seconds is about the kickoff, and there's one shot in the rest of the game, and I'm like, well, where's the rest of it? It's full time. That takes another minute off.
Well, that's I don't know why that seems to happen at Cromer Park, but look, mate, there's honestly not a ton to report for us. Good 3 points, because again, we haven't done too great at Cromer Park in the past. The Friday night
Lost there last year.
lost there last year, and I think we drew the year
It's a
before.
good finish, but to be fair,
We could be a great finish. I mean, I think most strikers would have
smash
like
that.
even like a top striker, like just usually put the laces
Aye.
through it.
Yeah.
We need that wee bit of composure, and he's a technical player.
That was good.
It's a Japanese-esque sort of technical. That's what you get from him. So, look, good win, mate, but I think Manly will take quite a few points off. The only issue with Manly is I think most of their games have been at home so far
I
already.
think they've had six
or
home
7
games.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I think I don't know the reason why they had so many to start, like 5 of them, but I think one was a reverse fixture with Sydney FC because Sydney FC couldn't play at home for whatever. So I don't know why 5 of them were. And I think Central Coast have got the opposite issue now. I think they're all playing away. I think they've got 7 games away or something first.
Yeah. Typically, it's around the ground, someone redoing their grass. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But Manly's ground's pretty good.
No idea.
Yeah, I've got no. I'm not sure what idea what it's all at home, but I don't know. What are they sitting 5th, 6th?
5th.
So not bad start from them to be fair, but obviously the home games all playing
so
away
it's
from
gonna
home is
get harder.
typically more difficult. Who else we got?
St George beat Wolves 2-1. Wolves obviously went 1-0 up. Raphael Leai scored. Have you played Wolves yet?
Yeah, first round.
I thought that. What do
Their
you
front
think
three
of
is
the...
very good.
Yeah.
Usually
he's,
it's fun.
he's rapid.
Aye,
he's
it
doing
looks
well.
really
and,
good.
And I mean, Wollongong were undefeated coming into that game.
So they were, aye.
So yeah, that's a good result.
Good
for
result
St.
for St George. B. Antonio scored again.
But to be fair, St George, you boys played against them as well.
Yeah, we
they're
gave them
decent.
a bit of
actually-
confidence.
So you did
They
that.
probably went into that game.
That's right. Aye. So you did that. I think St George. We spoke about it at length last week, but I think a result was coming for St George because they drew with APIA, they drew with you boys. Even though they've been they gave up 2 goals against Mount Druitt, they gave up a 1-0 win against Rockdale. They came back against you boys. It could have easily been like at Lambert Park when you're 3-1 down. You could easily get scudded 5 or 6-1. They came back in there and they play good stuff as well. The issue they've got is they don't have a lot of depth. I believe they've only really got like 11 or 12, and it's mostly 20s. I think over the course of a 30-game season, it could bite you in the arse. It could be difficult.
But I think they play like their identity is quite strong. Like when they play, it's quite good. I think. I only saw the first half of it, and that first half they were top.
No.
And then I come off for 10 minutes, and then we're 3-1 up. So you know what happens. No, but they I think across the league as well, like the smaller clubs, or however you say, like they're actually trying to play a specific identity, which is actually refreshing, I think, because not everyone's trying to play the same. They played a system, to be honest. I still don't know what they were doing, but they were quite good. They were quite good.
But a tactical nous there.
Yeah. I think so. Otherwise, they were just going everywhere. But it was looking quite good.
Do you think the league standards better this year than last year?
Yeah,
I think so as well.
That before. Yeah. So I've watched St George from round one, and Fab's doing great things there because in every game they've had probably a harder draw to start their competition.
Yep.
And they've been in every match. If they haven't dominated, they've been very alive and very active in every game. So credit to Fabian there. He's doing some great things. They really understand what they're doing, and probably depth will be the thing that lets them down. But when we talk about the amount of goals we conceded, one thing we noticed is that we weren't conceding many shots. Our ratio of goals to conceded is just horrendous. It just shows that the quality of the league is so high that teams can punish you.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years ago, you'd get away with having your back five, your back four not in their right position because the finishing wasn't as good or the decision-making in the final third was a bit flustery. But if you look at the stats, and I don't get too caught up in stats, but it just shows the quality of the NPL now. People will score goals and you'll feel it. And you see that at the highest level in the world. You just can't get away with gifting the ball away on the edge of the box.
Yep.
We now finally, at a level that NPL 1, people are punishing you for those mistakes.
Yep.
You know, they're pressing on the edge of your box or they're transitioning within 3 seconds. And that didn't happen years ago. So the level of coaching is much better. It's good to have Warren Greaves back in at Wollongong.
Yeah, definitely.
Fab from St. George, I'm saying. So there's some really good coaches and they're adding their value to the league because a lot of the players have always been good enough, but maybe it's the confidence, maybe it's the awareness, maybe it's the structure to be in the right space at the right time. And it comes down to coaching. I've got to give full credit to it because the level is increasing every season.
No, I agree. I actually think on that point, that's probably the biggest thing with us with Spirit. Like, we had a decent defence last year as well, like player for player. A big Kyle Shaw who went to Sydney FC. Yes. We're fairly strong, but going forward, our front three, like we've got Mikey, Taki and Kubu, and to your point, it's the finishing. Like, we created chances. There's always chances in NPL. But we could never fucking score, man. We'd miss, like, if you miss the first couple in a game and our team score it, just goals change games, old cliche. But now we are scoring first, or we are taking those moments, and the whole momentum of a game shifts completely. And it's purely because of recruitment. Yep. And then obviously coaching as well. But I think sometimes with a striker, it's very difficult to coach that natural instinct to finish, that quality in the final third. But I do agree. I think you look at Mount Druitt, Pedrinho. He's like that main guy who's scoring goals. If you look at all the St George are signed Bay, who's found a bit of scoring form. He's got a bit more of a free role. Yep. They did have it at Rockdale. Obviously, Rockdale's got Euro. Like, you boys have probably got goals from a wee bit all over the park. You've quite a lot of goal scorers. Marconi haven't scored a ton, but Yesic tends to be the person who's still bagging the goals. And I think you look at all those teams, even all the way down the bottom of the league, they've all got that main player. Who else is next, Chico?
We've got Sydney United, Marconi.
We went to that game. Did you watch it? Did you see any of
we
it?
did go to the game.
You were there?
Yeah, we went.
We went. It wasn't great, was it?
It wasn't great.
Good atmosphere though?
Nah, nothing. I thought it'd be busier, to be honest, considering it was like the derby and Sunday afternoon. But it was just it was still busy, but nothing I've never seen before at Sydney United. Do you know what I mean?
Any flares?
There was no.
Unfortunately, not.
It was a 70s night, so there was a few boys.
It's wonderful.
We need flares.
And mate, do you know what? I think there should be flares as much as possible. Like, even if you just tuck a wee pocket and just says like, "There's flares allowed in that section." As a player,
100%.
Class, man.
100%.
Get the flares out.
Unbelievable.
Get the flares for the boys. You know what I mean?
Those new APIA ultras just on the side. Boys.
Have you got a wee pocket, fans?
Yeah, we've got. Go on.
Yeah, we got a little pocket going on now. So shout out to them lads. Especially the one with the Gucci hat. He's got all my respect. Them boys are always welcome. So keep telling the other Oi bays and get them to the game.
Is it younger lads?
Yeah, they're younger lads, but that's what you need. Straight up.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
how it
that's what you
starts.
need.
So they've been standing behind the goal where the train tracks are.
Yeah.
They've just been making noise. And then, rightfully so after the game on the weekend, we said, come in the dressing room. So they got their
brilliant.
first taste of what
brilliant.
that is. So I think they'll just grow from there.
Yeah, that's great.
No, I think that's amazing, man. That's the one thing that's MPL just misses, just a bit of a crowd.
Yeah.
Like Sydney United, obviously it's a big ground. If you put that amount of people in, or maybe even Lambert Park, because it's got the wee stand there, it'd look a bit more packed. Sydney United's so opened.
Yeah.
But in terms of the game itself, look, I think Marconi deserved the win. I thought Marconi just looked like a bit more like a machine, like well oiled, well drilled, like not when he concede goals. Really didn't look like when he concede. Didn't look amazing going forward. I didn't think Marconi.
That was a very, very in the balance kind of game. Like there wasn't much in it.
Aye.
I think that the opener, Lockie Griffith scored a header, a corner.
Yep.
The Sydney
Nah, it
United
probably shouldn't have been a corner.
It wasn't a corner. It's
Aye.
come off
Yesic.
and went out, and the referee's given a corner. Then they scored from the corner.
Aye. And I mean, Sydney United had chances. Marconi had chances, but it was a bit of a
I think Sydney United need Antelmi.
Yeah.
big time.
That's the reality.
Shabelle came on the last 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Tiff to come on the last 25. Obviously, I do think the right focal point.
Yeah, but that's what I think they struggled in terms of when they went forward. It was hard to stay in an advanced position. Whereas
Aye.
when you've got Antelmi playing, he keeps the ball. It allows everybody to come up, and then you can start to try and build.
Was this the first game Shabelle played? Has he been
Yes.
injured?
Aye.
I think once they put it together with Shabelle, because he's a weapon.
They're stacked, mate. Richie Darko is the gun as well, so there's more depth as well.
That too. So I think Sydney United, I swear they've done. I don't know. You can fact check me. I could be talking shit here, but I feel like they start shit almost every year, and then towards
Last
the
year
business
they
end.
did last year. I think they lost. I think the first 7 games. I think Spider was getting
Yeah.
basically called to get sacked, and I think they went on a bit of a run. I think after that.
Yeah, like I feel like they're always gonna. I feel like do the same. They're a big club. They're gonna put it together, especially when Shabelle and how long did Antelmi get? Does anyone know?
I don't know actually.
Don't know how long
So-
the plan is either.
Hopefully more than 2 weeks. But I feel like they're going to piece it together eventually because they got a stacked team.
Yeah, they
it's just
do.
a matter of time, to be honest.
Well, they've got depth. Like
Yeah.
look at versus the St George sort of thing. If St George don't get those results and then they get a couple of injuries, they could be in trouble. Whereas Sydney, they haven't started well, but they've got all those players to come back. Still had a strong bench as well, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
Well, look, it wasn't a great game, but Marconi won again. Only conceded 1 goal. I do think Sydney United, as much as we've said that in a few weeks, they might go on a run. They probably need to do it pretty soon, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll be chasing it.
Yeah.
Especially, they're not going to go, we want to finish top 6. They'll be thinking, we want to win the league.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to happen sooner rather than later.
Shock of the round, in my opinion. Sydney FC beat Olympic 2-1.
On paper, yeah, but I think Sydney FC fielded a fairly strong team.
They did look like a very good team, and they looked good.
I've got a
Watching
few
the highlights,
decent,
it looked good.
international breaks, so they brought in a few. That's just the flip of the coin with the academy clubs, isn't it?
Aye, I think that you look at the game, and again, moments in games. Gus makes a save for Sydney FC from a header in the first 5 minutes, and then they go up and pitch and score about 90 seconds later. And it's just
Was it not a good goal, the header? Was that a header?
was it?
As a cracker?
Both the goals were
Aye,
brilliant.
good goal, aye.
Like in terms of going from back to front very quickly, like they were both very, very good goals.
Belmore as well, not great to play at Belmore.
But they played good football. Looked like they were botting the ball about well.
That Kaczarski played for.
He played, aye.
Wasn't he like 4 days before playing, I don't know, against the AFC team or
You know,
something like
Champions
that?
League guy.
Oh, aye, good point, aye.
You go from, fair enough.
To-
Good heads just...
To Belmore.
You go from that to Belmore, like, I guess you're always in a chance. He's quality, to be fair, but like unlucky for Olympic. The guy's fucking
mate, it's sometimes it's just luck of the draw, innit?
Yeah.
Who you get and who comes down.
The second goal was a good goal as well. So they've played it in the centre of the park, and the wee boy Joe Lacey just knocked
Just
it round the
kept it
corner
running.
Aye.
and made the run in at the box, and then got the header.
Yeah.
Oh, that's aye, mate, when these teams are on form, like...
Aye, they looked
They're
really
gonna be
good.
Olympic, but I think that sums up Olympic a wee bit. Like, had a wee bit of run of form. You think, here we go, Olympic look good, and then they win a game that you think they should win. So there's loads of games you think you should win. So, but I think they're stronger than last year Olympic. They look again a bit more like I think last year we've mentioned that they'd looked a little bit more relying on Donovan, and they've picked up obviously Armisen for you boys, who's a good player. Then you've got Big Cedric up top, Big Cyrus, and then you've got somebody else I'm missing, kind of off the top of my head.
Well, Parkhouse maybe.
No, Parkhouse was there last year.
Seth Clark. Is what
Seth
they're
Clark,
thinking.
he looks tidy as well. So
Yeah, he does look good. I marked that Cedric when we played that Olympic FC.
oh, did you?
Yeah, and I thought he was quite good, but Ended up getting sent off that game because he done a blind flick around the corner.
I remember I watched that.
Yeah, he knows it didn't touch my hand. So if he's watching this, bro, sort it out. The fans down there,
Sort
bro.
that out.
Sure.
That's funny.
Straight up.
Dylan Ruiz-Diaz scored a penalty for Olympic, bring them back in the game.
He come off
And
the bench,
to be
didn't
fair to Sydney FC, there was a last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They've defended really well.
Olympic pepper them?
Well, it was a passage of play that the keepers made a save, and then the balls broke, and there must have been 2 or 3 bodies like diving across to defend.
Desperate defending, aye, but
Desperate,
it's
which is
only happening at the last few minutes of the game.
100%.
2-1.
But it's good to see. Obviously, the young boys have got that kind of mentality in terms of
Well,
their
they're growing
desperate.
from it. I think you'll see with Sydney FC, similar to what we said before, most teams have someone scoring a goal. Before this game, Sydney hadn't scored in 4 games.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know.
If you take that away, in terms of football, they were dominating a lot of games, or they were playing through teams very comfortably, but they weren't scoring goals. And that's as
Aye.
you're saying, that flips the result immediately.
Yeah.
And so Sydney scoring the 2 goals has helped them do that. And then, as you can see, the players are so desperate because they haven't felt that for weeks.
Yeah, of course.
And when you get desperate, you do everything.
Yeah, 100%. So a good result from them. Mount Druitt lost 1-0 to St George. St George probably needed a win.
Great goal.
Oh, it was a
Nathan
great
Roberts
goal,
free kick.
Nathan Roberts.
Yeah,
World day.
buzzing for him.
Yeah, it was a great
We
finish.
spoke about him last week.
You're saying that, I remember.
Aye, good player.
Wasn't it?
But again,
The highlights didn't show any saves.
I can't. I was like, great save by the keeper, but the keeper's on the floor.
Aye.
What the fuck just happened
That's
there?
actually the first thing I wrote in the notes in capital letters. Highlights not showing saves. Like it just tells you what happened, but you don't obviously get the chance to see it.
Maybe that's what's happening at the Manly games. I don't know. I don't know.
I think I do think St George City are still probably. I mean, Manny, top of good coaches, really good coach.
Yeah.
And they've got good players, but I don't feel like they're really stamping their authority like as much as I thought they would. Especially when they got Grimaldi and Sparky, and at the end of the transfer window, I thought, oh, here we go. By the way, they look good, decent gaffer. Dakota's obviously there as well, and I thought they looked the part. But I mean, didn't look. Again, we're going off highlights.
Yeah, but then I think sometimes in these situations you just need one result.
Aye,
Yeah.
Sometimes
potentially.
you just need that one to get a wee bit of a lift, and then things just start to kind of fall.
And potentially a bit of time. I mean, they've got some 3 or 4 signings within the last week or 2.
Yeah. Dakota mentioned that
And
actually.
it's already a new coach. It's already a new squad, in essence. And then you've added players of relevance that are important to them coming in late. So it's going to take time.
Yeah, I know. But I just think maybe everyone else, like Spirit, Manly are up there who maybe weren't expected to be amongst there. St George City, who I thought would be probably top 6 by now. How long can they afford for that to happen? Because they're probably thinking like a playoff spot is probably their target. There's a lot of teams. I think it's not as clear. I mean, I was looking at the league table.
To be fair, like from 4th, APIA are sitting in 4th with 11 points, and St George are in 11th with 7 points.
Yeah, I
So
think.
it's not a big
Everyone's
swing.
there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's in favour for them because we were 8th before last week, and now we've jumped to 4th.
I was just going to say that
So-
looking at the league table now, I think if you looked at it 2 weeks ago, you think, wow, score scattered. But now if you look at it, you'd probably see the teams in there.
Yeah.
Marconi,
Rockdale,
Rockdale,
Apia,
Apia,
Blacktown.
and Blacktown are probably some of the teams you'd expect to start to
Yeah.
filter in as the league's starting to sort of slowly find the way you'd expect
Yeah.
it. Although it's tight, but are these teams starting, like Rockdale look if they found a wee bit of form as well.
Yeah.
You boys look if you found a bit of form as well. And then is that starting to settle up? And that's why I think Sydney United, St George City, who also want Olympic, who want to be amongst it.
Yeah.
Is this a point where you can't really afford to be dropping points because the gap just starts to get
It
bigger?
does need to start soon, because even at the moment with Sydney United in 13th, they're 5 points off 4th. Which 5 points is,
Oh, it's fuck all.
is
Yeah.
fine.
Aye.
But as you say, it's just now as time goes,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't have
over the
that
next
become
couple
8
weeks.
next week and then 11 the week
By the
after.
way, we can get the next one. We'll
Aye.
get the next one before you're not.
Yeah.
It's 13 points to make up.
2 more games to get through. Rockdale beat Blacktown 3-0.
Big result.
Very big
To
result.
be fair, again, I'll go off highlights. Soros looked pretty busy.
Soros, and particularly in the second half, I thought he made lots of saves,
Yeah.
Soros. And there was one at the end of the first half after Rockdale just
In
went
46th minute or something like
Aye,
that.
they just went 3-0 up, and he's made a big save from Jack O'Brien
Aye, so
in the
he did,
cutback. And if that goes in, then you never know how the second half kind of pans out. But I think it's the first time that you can look at a Rockdale score this season and be like, they look fairly comfortable scoreline wise.
Aye, 3-0
Everything's
against Blacktown.
been quite tight.
But where would they be with the Euro, mate? You know what I
I
mean?
know.
It's a question.
That is the question.
We asked the fans, at 66% of people from who voted said that Bay was right.
Oh,
Said they would struggle.
well, on the basis of the weekend, he scored twice. They scored 3 goals. They're
First
probably
finish was
right.
good.
That was a
Aye.
very good finish, actually.
Aye.
And
His penalties are mental, aren't they?
Yeah, it was funny.
That run up, man.
Did you see the Blacktown players at the top
I
of the
tried to
box
block
trying to
him.
stop his run?
Yeah, that was
quite good.
But I've seen a few games now, like where I think one of the games the goalkeeper was trying to wind him up. I don't know what game it was. Standing in front of him, and obviously as soon as he scored, he's running up to the
Yeah,
goalkeeper.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. Like, fucking get up
yeah.
here. So as a keeper, right? Because he runs almost straight towards the ball, full pelt.
Aye.
Like, what are you doing? It's like
You're
no
guessing,
too hard, mate.
guessing and going because he strikes it well. So I think that when people strike the ball well, if you don't go early,
You have to go early.
He's just basically going to go, fuck, I'm gambling.
100%.
Aye, okay, fair dues.
And then there's signs with body language in terms of are they looking somewhere? Are they good enough to look somewhere and put it there? Are they going to look somewhere and try and put it the other way? Do you know what I mean? It's just a lot of it's down to the player. But with someone of his quality, I think you're picking a side and you're just going early because he with his run up. He never really looks at the keeper. It's not one of them that is trying to slow down and watch the goalkeeper move first. He knows where he's going to put the ball. So he runs at pace and he hits it at pace.
Aye.
So you just need
As a
to
keeper,
go.
it's hard. If you hit it with pace,
Aye,
you're
you
not going
need-
to save it, are you?
Unless you go early.
Aye, like super early.
Aye, that's it.
Aye.
He's
Fairly
got
lucky.
more pens. You more Jack Stewart, you reckon?
Does Jack kick your pins?
Yeah.
Aye.
I think Euros had more.
Euros had more.
That's
How
him.
many pens you had? How many pens you had this year? You had many?
Two.
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
How many has
scored
Euro had?
3 maybe? 2, 3?
2 or 3, yeah. Scored 8 goals. He scored so far.
I think 3.
7 games.
If I had to guess.
8 goals, 7 games.
Blacktown though, we spoke about it as well. Defensively, I think they look very fragile.
Yeah, you said
Games
that.
I thought against you boys, they were very poor defensively. Not necessarily getting cut open, but they sort of just gave you the ball a lot of times to try to build up, or like you might say you pressed them or forced them one way or whatever else. But I feel like they were very poor. And against us as well, same thing. There was a lot of space in behind, and I think they're going to concede 2 or 3 goals every week. You've fucking got a mountain to climb, man.
Yeah.
Mountain to climb. They've got the quality up front to score goals, but I just don't know if you can keep conceding goals. I don't know.
Second half, I think they moved Lynchy to like that left wing back, and
Yep.
he was really good.
Lynchy's good, isn't he?
Lynchy's top. He was one of my roommates on the Asia Cup. It was.
Did you go to Asia Cup, mate? You've not mentioned that.
Yeah, nah. Just in case you didn't know. I also scored at an Asian Cup. I don't know.
Yes.
Seen the video or something. I don't know. Get like the thumbnail or something. Just put it in that corner as he's going on. I think it's got like 500 views and I'm 497 of those views. But make it 501, please. Go ahead. Nah, Lynch is top.
He's a good
Good
player.
defender.
Nah,
Good
very good.
attacker. He's a good lad as well.
Last game, Sutherland beat Central Coast 1-0. As I was saying there, I just thought that Sutherland were like almost peppering the goal with just long range shots, and that's how the corner comes that they score from. It's from a shot from outside the box that the keeper's done well with it, because Jack Wachowski in goal made lots of saves, but it was literally everything.
I think he was in
from
team of the
like
week, wasn't
20,
it?
25 yards. I don't know. I thought it was Gus.
I don't know. Central Coast, yeah, I don't know. Funny one. Sutherland as well are a funny one because there was a lot of noise with them at the start of the season, and they've had a bit of an indifferent start, and they've won. It's hard to pick them how they're going to go. We've actually got them this weekend, but they've got some cracking players.
Oh, they're sitting on 10 points.
Aye, as we said, everything's tight. Still that way. It could go either way. 1-1.
Who's top? Every week. So I think Trisoglovic, I think, scored the header for
Oh,
Sutherland.
the defender, young boy.
Aye.
Aye.
So good result for them.
I'm sick of watching fucking games at Rockdale Alden. Every highlight, every game's at fucking
game's at
Alden.
Rockdale. I agree.
Fucking unbelievable,
And
man.
the sun's setting.
Oh man, no man, you
can't
can't see fuck. I
anything.
was sitting up a pair of Ray-Bans watching the game.
I'm just trying to see who was in the team of the week this week.
It was Bay up front, Bay, Kubu, Jurasevsky. Can't remember who else was up there. There was shouts. Lockie Griffiths should have been in there. I seen a few
You were
comments.
right, it was Jack Wachowski was in team of the week.
And that boy scored the goal for Sutherland.
And Jack Stewart was in as well.
Jack Stewart, he played well, deserve it.
Yeah,
And
same with
Fraser
Birdo.
Ortiz as
Did
well.
Birdo get in it?
But Ortiz has started very well.
Ortiz
How many
is
goals he scored?
7.
7.
So Euros on 8.
That
Ortiz
was
on
his
7.
first 2 at home. He scored 5 goals away from home.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah. Sounds about right. What about the goal? You used to do the top goal scorer. What happened to that stat?
So it's hard because it'll come up probably after. So it's on the Dribble website, but at this moment,
Dribble's still not been updated since
no,
round one.
with this number of games, I'm just putting it down to the fact that we're maybe not halfway through the season. They've not put the stats in yet.
So there's no
There's
stats
no
yet?
stats yet.
Fucking hell, Dribble. Shambles.
Yeah. there's
But Euros on 8.
Just you.
What?
Your
Just-
stats.
I've
it is
got
stats,
8 and 7, but that's the only information I know.
I think Kubo's on 5. I'm not sure who else will be in there. Bay might be up there as well. Bay's 4.
Bay's 4 or 5.
How many does Euro have?
8.
8.
8 goals,
Just
7 games.
consistently scores that.
Yeah.
Wait, I
straight
know.
up.
Mate,
Yeah.
how many goals has Rockdale scored?
15.
Where would they be with it, Euro, man?
Aye, literally more than half their goals so far.
Aye, fair play. That's what happens, mate. That's
Yeah.
you pay the big bucks for a good striker. Score the
Right,
goals.
quick run through the results in NPL Victoria. Avondale lost their first game of the season. They lost 2-1 away at Dandenong Thunder, who are now second. It's been the last 2 weeks, Dandenong Thunder have beat Avondale and they beat South Melbourne last week.
Do you boys know many players in it?
Haas Jallo's down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
When
looks
they
like
Who's
he's
that?
doing well. He used to be with us, Hassan Jallo.
Right, okay.
I think he did the rounds at a few clubs, but he's looking like he's buzzing
Who's he
down
at?
Dandenong Thunder.
Is it, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, sweet.
And
Yeah,
he's-
so that's-
Oh, Romero's there as well, isn't he?
no, he's
Preston.
at Preston.
No, but I'm saying he's in Victoria.
yeah,
aye,
yeah.
Victoria. Aye.
And so is Frangie as well at Preston, I'm sure.
Is Franchi at Preston?
Is it Preston? Oh no, it's Altoona Magic.
Altoona
Frangie's at
Magic.
Altoona Magic.
Okay, he went down.
Yeah, he's down there. And so Dandenong Thunder sitting second just now. They're 2 points off Avondale at the top of the league.
They'll be fighting for, because it looks like South Melbourne and Preston potentially, well, I won't say Preston look higher up, but fighting for that extra Australia Championship spot, won't they?
100%. So you've got Avondale are already in, Preston are in, and South Melbourne. So
And
you're
Avondale in
looking
the
at-
Australian Championship?
Yes,
Oh, they are, I didn't even know it.
So then you're looking at the obviously just now how it stands. Dandenong Thunder would be the team to go from Melbourne. But the other results: Melbourne Knights lost 2-1 to Melbourne Victory. Heidelberg United beat Dandenong City. Hume City drew 1 each with South Melbourne. Preston lost 3-2 at home to Oakley Cannons. Altoona Magic and Green Gully was nothing each, and St Albans Saints beat Port Melbourne 3-0.
Lovely. What about the APIA? Are you doing anything? Is there anything behind the scenes or anything done differently for the Australia Championship? Anything in the back of your minds have been spoken about? Obviously, day to day, game wise, obviously you're focusing on week to week as natural. But is there anything different this year you found? Or is it just business as usual?
From your point of view, coach.
We touched on it at the start of the year that that's going to be there, but we've got to worry about today.
Yeah.
And like in sport, also in life, I guess, but in sport, you've got to focus on what's in front of you, and that's too far away for us to get too caught up. We are assessing certain players. When you talk about conditioning, we talk about injuries.
Yep.
There's a soft element of a longer term approach to it.
Yeah, of course.
That potentially last year, if someone's 80%, you might want to push them through for the weekend. Now it's kind of like, okay, we've got a long season
Yeah.
as opposed to a long season.
Yeah.
And that's probably the small tweaks. And it should be in all our minds, player well-being. We talk about it, but at the end of the day, you want to win a game, you get your best player
100%.
back in. We get all that, but we've consciously just been so patient with certain players that in the past we probably would have said, no, this is 2 years ago, rewind 2 years ago, there was no finals. There was no
That's
championship.
right, I know it was.
And so it was first past the post. The approach we had to that, to sum up the question best, the approach 2 years ago is different to this year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For that exact reason, to finish first past the post or to
Play until December.
aim to win the competition in view of championship, it adjusts things in the background.
Yeah.
Players, they just got to train hard every session, be ready on the weekend, and allow us to manage that in the
Players want
background.
to play football, don't you? He's want to play football, so
Yeah.
that makes
And,
sense.
and you've got to be
well.
available. Like,
Yeah,
if
of
you're not
course.
playing well,
Yeah.
there is no guarantee you're going through. Same for coaches. If you don't know what you're doing or you don't get the results, you're not there either. So you still have to commit to it. But I think the layout of the competition and the addition of the new competition definitely changes things in the background.
What's your view on from well, we think it's positive anyway, but I'm sure you're the same. But how's the buzz? He's excited by the sort of change or the new potential?
Yeah, I think
Pathway?
it's really good. It's very good.
How come every time you go to speak, you bust out laughing?
He knows.
Smiling.
He knows. Yeah, exactly right.
It's a smile.
He's excited. So, and he knows that he's probably got to watch what I say. So if I start rambling, just give me a hit. And I know the
that's not
gaffer's
me.
told me to stop.
That's not me.
Nah, I think it's good, and it gives us it's refreshing. It's a new competition. They've been saying for how long that they wanted to do something. So I'm glad they've finally done something in whatever capacity it is. At least it's something new, something national stage. So it's
Good exposure for the club, the players.
100%.
Every club like to be on
Yeah.
the national stage.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to try and extend. It's going to be a lengthy podcast for us, well, mate. You're saving our throats at me for episodes, so we can do it. Aye. Try and
Talk
do-
less shite for the next few weeks.
If the table was to say it as it is now, who from Sydney qualifies?
I wouldn't know that.
Depends who can afford it. To be fair, man, That'd be fucking hilarious.
That would be brilliant, man. It'd be brilliant.
But I mean, it's not even been mentioned.
Yeah,
Because
it's still quite early.
7 games in. Well, actually asked the question to the coaching staff. I'm like, obviously, banter-wise, people say, "Oh, Spirit doing well," but I'm like, when does the conversation become
An actual
conversation?
conversation.
In my head, I'm like, if we're still there thereabouts, then round 20, I'll happily open up to like, oh fuck, we've got a shout here. But the only positive for Spirit at the moment, like I'd say, the big goal for us from last year was, can we get playoffs?
Yeah.
And we have got a wee bit of a buffer on ourselves on like the 6th spot as opposed to 2nd spot. We're now, which is any mentality of any football player would be, or coach would be, well, who's closest to us, 2nd spot, let's keep that gap. We want to stay top of the league, but I think we can also look at the 6th spot as well. But looking at, and I mentioned it last week, there's like certain milestones, like if you hit 15 wins, you're probably going to hit playoffs. If you hit 20 wins, the chance you win a league are pretty fucking high.
Yeah.
Last year I think Rockdale got 23, which was very good going.
Yeah.
So obviously you just need to keep trying to pick up wins, and
Yeah.
it is that week by week thing to see. But I will see. But I'm looking forward to this Australian Championship. I think it'll be a right, nice, refreshing change.
Good.
I mean, we've been involved in NPL since we arrived in 2014, and I think the more we've got to know the competition and the way it's growing, and I think sometimes it's frustrating from the outset, being like, everyone loves it so much, but just needs something to kick up the arse and give it a wee bit of a boost. And I think whether it's good or bad, how it works out, I think it's a step to try it and adjust as we go, as opposed to just hoping we find the answer
100%.
somewhere there.
I feel like if they're gonna do it, they just need to go fucking balls in, like everything.
You
for
love
it,
balls
you know?
out, mate. That's all you talk about.
Yeah, Jesus.
Brazil in the brain, mate.
Not wrong. All my Brazilian fans, make sure you watch it.
Make sure you see my balls
I'll
out
be
again.
back.
Okay, before we get to NPL 2 and NPL 3 roundup, just a quick mention to Lightweight Athletics, sponsoring the podcast. You get a 15% discount across the website with code CFS. Just click the link in the description below. And also, BN Sports, as promised, are giving a giveaway, a BN annual subscription to some YouTube subscribers. So we've done a wee draw earlier on, and the YouTube subscriber who's getting an annual free subscription is Mike Cara 22. So if that's your name on YouTube, give us a message on Instagram and we'll get that sorted code for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it, mate. Yep.
Class. NPL 2, quick run through of results. We'll start with UNSW. We played Rideman at the weekend. We drew 2 each.
What about NPL 2, lads? Are you across that at all?
No, but I thought UNSW are doing quite well. They seem to keep.
You been talking to him?
No, they keep popping up. They're actually alright on the socials.
Do you know what? We had been doing alright. We have been doing alright, not we
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
We weren't great at the weekend, we were poor.
Yeah.
Like in the balance, I think we went into the game expecting to win the game, and we didn't quite turn up energy wise.
Who did you draw in the cup, by the way? Blackburn City. Who did you just get in the cup?
Nepean.
Nepean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
There's
got
bloody-
Blackburn City. I think.
There's so many
Berries.
association playing association. Like they could have just gave us an association team
Blackburn
for a round.
City. Mate, loads of space in behind. Target Nick O'Brien.
And Nick O'Brien, the striker.
I'm only
that's
joking,
playing
Nick.
centre back.
Aye.
But we were poor at the weekend. Maybe on the balance, I think that last year we would have lost the game that we obviously drew at the weekend. So results kind of went our way. So it becomes a 0.1 as opposed to 2 points dropped, I suppose. But we need to be better. Ahmed scored twice for Rowdomere. And
What a free kick, by the way.
that was decent.
What a free kick that
Don't want
was.
to talk about it. And Thomas Quilligan and Jack Fulton scored for us. Bulls and Jets played. They were 1 each. Jets went 1-0 up and Bulls equalised from the penalty spot. Northern Tigers back to winning ways. They beat MacArthur Rams 3-0. Kai Denton scored another 2 goals.
Good play to look at Kai Denton, by the way.
Yeah,
Loads
scores
of goals.
goals all the time.
Aye.
All the time. So, yeah, he scored twice and Ryan Atard scored. Surprise in NPL 2 was probably Berries beating House. Berries went 3-0 up, 2 penalties. They got Patrick Savoy scored twice from the spot, and House scored 2 late goals to bring them back in at the tie. Mounties back-to-back wins, so they beat Dully 1-0.
They must be climbing up the ladder a little bit, eh?
Yeah, so Mounties are now 11th, so they're sitting on
After a poor start.
9 points after a poor start. MacArthur Rams are sitting at the bottom of the league just now. They've got 1 point from the 6 games they've played.
Where's Hakoa?
Aqua second bottom.
Yeah.
They were second top last year, third top.
Third top last year.
last year.
So Inner Lions lost 2-0 at home to Bankstown City. Jonathan Grozdanovsky scored twice for Bankstown. Bonnyrigg, White Eagles, first team to take points off SD Raiders.
Did you get a man sent off as well?
Yeah.
Bonnyrigg?
Stefan, debauching and get sent off with 5 minutes to go.
Mate,
That does not surprise me
does
at
it?
all.
Well, we've got him on next week, the podcast.
Oh,
he's
yeah?
going on, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that's the champagne football effect. Usually someone scores or plays well.
Stefan gets sent off.
Stefan gets sent off.
Aye.
Shambles.
But good result for them. But as I said, the first team to take points off SD Raiders, which is obviously great for us. And Hakoah lost 3-0 at home to Spartans at the
Do
weekend.
you know
on
anyone
Sunday.
from Hakoah?
Yeah, a few of the boys. Nicky Lowe, the keeper.
Yep.
Shaddock still there. I think that's it. I think everyone, because I used to play there. I think they've all pretty much moved on.
Yeah.
But they had some good people at the club there, so hopefully
Yeah.
they can sort it too.
It's a bit of a surprise, Hakoah, as you say. They finished third last year, and this year they've just a shadow themselves, to be honest.
You know,
Aidan Kyra scored another 2 goals for.
you know who's played for you?
Spartans.
Aidan Kyra.
Yeah,
Aye.
yeah.
Yeah, he scored 2 at the weekend. And Josh Bartolotto gets sent off in the final 10 minutes. That must be so frustrating for a coach.
Yeah.
You're winning a game 3-0, and you get a player gets a second yellow card with 10 minutes to go. Saying, what are you doing?
It's a killer.
It must be so annoying. But aye, good result for Spartans. They've actually started the season pretty, not poorly, but they weren't great at the start, but they seem to be hitting a bit of form, which is good for them. On NPL 3 quickly, Central Coast United lost again. They lost 2-1 at home at South Coast Flame. Hawkesbury beat Dunbar 2-0. Hurstville Zagreb beat Fraser Park 2-1. Gleysville Ride Magic.
But Fraser Park must be in trouble.
Oh, what's the trouble?
What I mean is
They
like
don't get relegated.
I'm pretty
There
sure,
you go.
but they're one of the clubs that applied for the B League when it's actually touted,
Fair.
and they're sitting. What must be like third, fourth bottom NPL 3 or whatever it's called these days. They like to.
Yeah, they're sitting 12th. They've got 6 points from their first 6 games.
It's not. It's like quite a well supported club, like a big.
Oh, it's a big club, a big history, I suppose, Fraser Park. So it is. But they've been struggling for a few years, haven't they? Really, I think they've actually invested.
But down,
to
I feel
get-
like they're downward spiral. But
But they got the pitch is either been done or
Has it?
getting done up just now. Aye.
it's a shambles that pitch.
No, it was terrible.
It's been $2 million just to fuck it right up.
I'll say absolutely nothing. Gleysville Ride Magic lost 2-0 at home. 1-2-0 at home in our West Hawks. Bankstown United beat Sydney Uni 1-0. Sydney Uni seem to be doing a bit better, by the way.
They just lost 1-0.
But they will lose.
No, they usually lose 2-0.
But they do concede more goals,
But
man.
they're in the league, mate.
They are bottom.
Fucking hell, they're rubbish.
I just said they're doing better. Doesn't mean they're doing great. So
they're
they
bottom.
get
They're at the bottom.
but
Better.
hear me out here, right? They get their first point of the season last week, and then they lost
this week.
1-0, an 88th minute penalty to Bankstown United. That's a game you expect Sydney Uni to maybe lose 3 or 4-0.
Nah, mate. If you're a gaffer, or you're a fan, sorry, of that team, we're doing better. You drew last week and you lost this
Yeah,
week.
I'm supporting the students. Granville Rage beat the PM 1-0, and Camden Tigers lost 4-1 at home to Prospect.
Sweet.
NPL 3 done.
Who's top NPL 3?
Top NPL
Paris
3. No, it's Hurstville. But Hurstville have played a game more than Parramatta. Parramatta are a game in hand and they're a point
So they
off.
two look the strongest to go up, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't think you can really look too far away from Bankstown United either.
Right.
And South Coast Flame have started the season pretty well.
And NPL 2, S Raiders top.
SC Raiders are
Tigers
top.
second.
Tigers are top.
Tigers are top.
Tigers are top. SC Raiders have got a game in hand.
Right, okay. They're two favourite to go up.
Nah, the NSW, mate.
Right, mate, let's go on to the sexy stuff.
The sexy stuff. Why we are here, boys. This is why we are here. So we'll start with you, Mr. Kouta.
Go on.
Tell us about your youth football, mate.
This is actually a bit of a different story, probably.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What you had for breakfast this morning?
Yeah. I actually can't remember. To be honest.
His alarm's not went.
Yeah, that's true. I got into the NPL scene like very, very late. I got into my first club when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
I think like growing up, it was too hard to like get a single mother to pay $2,500 to go. So I want to kick a football. She couldn't understand that, which is, I don't blame her.
Nah, it's mental. Fees are
Mate,
mental.
Unbelievable. So I actually throughout like year 11 and 12, I was in and out of school just to try and pick up labour jobs, this, that, to save. And then as soon as I finished school, I went to Rockdale. Someone had taken me there and just said, just have a look at the guy. He's from Park Football, but just please have a look. And that coach, I've never had contact with him. His name was Sash, but I can't thank him enough because he was straight away like, I don't care where you've played for. Like, we have all these guys rocking up in their tracksuits and fucking dump my head in.
So where did you play your part though?
Peakhurst United and Oatley RSL.
Brilliant.
And then he goes, I don't care where you play, whatever, but if you can play, I'll sign you, whatever. So then, I trialled, whatever, made the squad, and then he gave me a lot of faith going forward. And then I think halfway through the year, Johnny Kalesia actually brought me up to the 20s.
Where is he now?
He's at Hakoah.
Hakoah.
Oh, I see. The gaffer?
Assistant.
Assistant gaffer.
And then it's actually funny there, Stefan, he was the captain of the 20s. Remember, I was on the bench once and he was screaming at the coach to put me on to give me my debut. So I actually never forgot that either.
No,
so,
fair play.
Then I was at Rockdale for a year, had a really good year. Thought I was getting re-signed and then got the call that I need to go and trial. And
Had to go trial.
and then I was like, mate, you've seen me for a year. So then, what do you mean I'm going to go and trial? Anyway,
That's an absolute stitch up.
mate. I couldn't. Anyway.
Was this to get back into the 20 squad or to go first grade?
This was to go into the 20 squad.
Right, okay.
But sorry, to go into the 20 squad, or your 20s 2 years in a row?
No, I was 18.
Who was
so,
you?
Okay.
so I was 18
Not
when
to
I
get
went
trial
there.
for the 20s.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I went to go trial for the 20s.
What a lot of pish that is.
I just fuck that.
Trial, just fucking ask the gaffer. Played
know.
for a fucking full year.
I played there for a year.
I've been in this 20 squad before, mate.
So
Yeah.
what happened?
Then I went to.
So did you not trial?
Nah, I don't know if I was, a bit arrogant or whatever.
Good on
but
you though, man.
Yeah, I was like, fuck that. You've seen me for a year. What do you mean go and trial? Like, you either like me or you don't. Don't
Yeah,
just
good.
bring me along and
Yeah, I like that.
all of that shit.
Fucking raging still.
Nah, I am. That shit gets me. That shit gets me. Anyways, then I went to Sutherland. I went there for a trial. I went to Sutherland to trial, which is
So then you knock back a trial, go for a trial.
But you know what? Fair enough. They didn't know me, so I was
Fucking
like,
bullshit, mate, a trial. Yeah, I'm here for the trial, mate.
I'll never fucking trial again. No, I went there. I trialed. I actually trialed for a day or whatever I was, or the night, and then they signed me straight away. So it was good. There was no like bullshitting around. Had a good year there. I thought I was staying on for the second year of 20s, and then I had a
They asked you to retrial.
no, they had already like asked me like to re-sign this, and then I was out with a few of the boys from Sutherland. They were on a team night out, and then two of them, they were actually Nate Roberts and one of the other boys, Dow. They were like my best mates in the side, and they're like, oh no, we're going to Hakoah, and then I don't know. I said it was a night out, and I decided, yeah, sweet, I'll come with you. And they're like, oh, like, if I send the message, you got to come. Like, yeah. Woke up the next morning, I go, fuck, it looks like I'm going to Hakoah.
So you just agreed to go to Hakoah drunk?
Yeah, pretty much.
Aye.
Yeah.
I mean, but how did you? There was no conversation with the gaffer.
No, they sent the message on the night, and they go, "Yep, sweet, take him." And I go, "Oh, all right, hectic."
Yeah.
So I went there. I go, I'm going in a bit blind here. No, like to Hakoah. I was blind on the night.
Actually, I was going to say, I was telling Franco, Temba messaged me saying that you're the MVP in a night out these days, the APIA.
I don't know, Franco. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Nah. There's a few boys that picking up that MVP recently. It's yeah.
But sorry, to jump off that, in terms of APIA, like social convener, who's the man who organises the nights out?
I think like Temba pushes for it, which is good. Azone is like, he's the new Paul Galimi in terms of taking care of like fines and or like the
Okay.
whatever. But we all sort of just like buy into it, to be honest, and be like, all right, we need a team night out. Like things are getting a bit stale. Let's
So
go for
important.
another.
I think that's obviously from the days that you played and when we were playing younger. It was a massive part. I think it's became a bit more professional now, which is good as well. But I think you do need that element. 100%, man.
100%. It actually, I felt this when we won the league in 2023.
Yeah.
The times off the pitch makes those moments better on the pitch. So like
100%.
after we won the league, we've all been going out throughout the season. Sorry to the boys that have misses to get you in trouble. I don't know if you told them or not that you're going out, but you can deal with it. But Yeah, no, like then you have those nights after winning the league, and everything's just so much better because we're extremely tight.
Yeah,
at
because you're
APIA.
together.
And I think a lot of the boys who are maybe usually in their shell a little bit,
Yeah.
out their shell a little bit. Aye.
We have a Griffith trip once a year. Do I tell them about the?
Oh, you're too far
You
now,
can,
mate.
mate, maybe you can cut anything out. After that, don't worry.
Yeah. This is look. To be honest, like you can probably look at me and be like, "What is wrong with these people?" But that's all right. That's
I
fine.
I said that 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but like you can now say it on the microphone. So there you go. We have a annual Griffith trip that we do, and like we look forward to it because it breaks out the boys that are
Is this pre-season?
pre-season and that are in their shell a bit. And then so we play the football, go out for the night and for the morning as well if you want to continue. And then we had to jump on this bus at 7 a.m. or something like this. We woke up for the boys that slept is like at 6 a.m. to that Black Eyed Peas song, I'm a Bee or something.
Sing it for us.
No, I can't be doing that. But I think we know what that song is. No,
Maybe sing it for us. Maybe ring my bell.
Yeah, you just probably
I don't know,
refresh
Franco,
the old
I don't know. I sung it for 10 hours straight on that bus.
God, you must know it. Man.
We know
Gives a wee line.
I'm gonna be rocking like this. I'm gonna be rocking like this.
That's the wee.
Does it ring a bell now?
I know the song. Take the piss.
All right, well, at least we got there in the end. And then we got woken up to that song at 6 a.m. and then I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was myself or any of the other boys, we turned to Frankie and go, "We want to hear this all the way back to Sydney."
Fuck me.
Frankie looks at us and he goes, "Yes." And if anyone that knows Frankie, when he gives you that yes, you just go and execute. Whatever it is, when it's on the field, whether it's off the field. When I've heard that from Frankie, the yes, it's all right. That's it. You go and do it. From 7:30 till what we got before that second speaker died, it was at 4 p.m. We listened to this song on the bus and screamed at the exact same points of this song every single time. I think my voice cords were like bleeding or some shit. It was absolutely disastrous, but it actually brought us together. For the new boys that were looking back at us like after the 6th hour, go, this can't be right. We're like, where are we right now?
That sounds to me like a form of torture.
Well, it's actually funny.
Is it one of those college initiation things you get in America?
I reckon they should do like a study because when the second speaker died, the boys looked back like is something wrong, like someone's in trouble at the back or something like that, and it was actually quite cool to see.
I think you should
that.
do a study.
Yeah, I don't know, like one of them clinical things. I don't know.
to find out what?
I don't know why that happened.
Why the speaker died?
Yeah, why the speaker died.
I don't need a study for that, mate. No, I just probably just ran out of charge.
It's a fair point. I don't know. They need to do the study anyway. But yeah, that's the like mental shit that brings us all together at APIA. So yeah, we're quite a sick bunch. It's really good.
So how long was the trip with that tune playing?
It was like 8.5 hours on the bus, and then
But that tune playing for 8.5 hours.
6 hours until the speaker died.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Mate, that's what I'm saying. That is torture.
no, it was bringing us together. All right? That's what we tell ourselves.
So if you hear that song now, are you buzzing?
I almost get like a shiver down my spinal cord. Like, oh my god, it's happening again. Like,
happening again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Like,
think he's a drinker on this bus. Mate, if you're sober, listen to I'm a Bee for 6.5 hours, then you're sick. Aye. If you're getting bevied, then fair enough.
were any other boys drinking? I don't think so.
We had stopped.
We had stopped. Yeah.
Aye, okay, very good. Right.
So let's go back to Hakoa.
Hakoa. Yeah.
Good year.
Yeah. So I did a year there.
Listen to that
Was
song
that
the whole
first
time.
grade? Was that first grade?
No, that was 20s. I was there, I was in the 20s squad for around like 6 months or so, and like I was having a good year, and the first grade coach at the time like was loving me, and like it was sort of like talk going on that they want to bring you into
Who was the
first
first grade
grade.
coach?
It was Gavin Robertson, I think, at the time. So Gavin Ray.
Yeah.
He was player coach, and a couple others there. And I hadn't trained a minute for first grade, and then they told me on Tuesday night that I was starting the Waratah Cup semi-final. And I was just like, well, I either fucking sink or swim here. So decided to swim. I had a good game. Had a really good game.
Just decided I'm going to class today.
Yeah, so I decided to do that. I thought it would be a good time to do it. Then I played one league game after we won the Waratah Cup semi-final, then we had the Waratah Cup grand final against APIA. And to be honest, that first half, do you remember a player, Corey Bixo?
No.
Oh, he's like the white Adama Traore. But I looked at him before the game and I go, this guy can't do anything against me. He's too big, whatever. Drops the shoulder right, goes inside of me the first time. I go, fuck, I'll get him the next time. Does it again. Then the next time he goes the other way. I got into that half-time shit. I'll go, I'm in for it in this final. It was a rough time. Second half was a lot better. We ended up winning the Waratah Cup final that year. So then after that, Hakoa gave me my first grade contract.
Yeah.
So then...
Sorry, were you playing in this game?
No, it's Hakoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Against APIA. Oh, okay, aye. Oh, so you played as well, aye.
Right, okay, class.
He keeps laughing. I'm like, there's something he's not telling us.
I did.
Then the next year was I had starting most games and playing regularly in first grade was my first time. And then
And Hakoa were in NPL 1 at this point.
yeah, we're actually quite good. We had a really good team.
Yeah.
We didn't realise it at the time actually that we had a good team. I remember sorry, Buzanis, but I remember him first session going, we're getting relegated with this team. But we actually had a really
So
good team.
who's from that team? Is anyone still playing?
So we had Stamatellis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a great player.
Unreal.
Aye.
Brad Walker.
Yep, he's a good player as well. Aye.
Yeah. We had a guy that used to play, James Coombs. He was really good.
Oh, yeah,
we had
no
Nate Roberts, Dom Cox,
Oh, I fucking
Ollie
see.
Green. And then we had Andre de Jong, who's playing for New Zealand or something.
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
that. So yeah, we had a really good team. We sort of pieced it together at the end. We went on a cup run. Versed APIA again in a rematch in the Waratah Cup final. And then,
Trumps that one.
yeah. To be fair though, I had individually a lot better of a game, and it was actually after that game that APIA, they gave me a call as I was on a night out after winning the cup final, going,
That's how you sign him on a
I was
night.
going to say
that's
that.
it,
What's
man.
Kouta tonight? He's just checked into this bar. Like, get him signed.
Now we send him to Brazil, so we can't do that.
international number don't work. They don't. The other clubs don't know. No, I would have never leave.
So how long have you been at APIA for?
It's my seventh.
Yeah, 2019.
Oh, really? That
Seventh.
Oh,
Seventh.
no,
I'm not good at maths, but
Yeah,
is it seventh,
sixth year.
sixth, seventh.
19.
I
You don't
know.
strike me as type.
No,
No, you're 7th year.
Yeah.
You were right, mate. Well done.
There you go. More than meets the eye. Isn't that how it goes? Something like that.
Class.
Yeah, seventh year.
Close to a testimonial.
Huh?
Couple more years testimonial.
Nah, I'm 27. Once I get the knee right, I'll be all right.
That's it. But you get testimonial after 10 years.
Is that what they do?
Yeah. So
Aye.
then APIA pay you a lot of money. So
Aye.
that everything they raise in that testimonial
Goes
goes
to
to
you.
you.
Yeah. So
And then
it's-
whether you earn a year, they double it, and you get that for the following year.
Oh, yeah. The testimonial's happening. Yeah, sounds good.
Class. And obviously, 7 years is a long time at one club.
Yeah.
Highs, lows. Did you win the championship your first year?
Yeah, that was definitely a very big...
2019, was that not COVID year?
No, 2019 was the first grand final in Bankwest when they
Nice.
just opened it. So that was a really good year, my first year there.
Yeah.
Was really happy there. 2020 was the COVID. 2021 was probably the toughest low year for... Might as well say it. Yeah, why not? We had a coach at the time who's still coaching now, who's sort of sparked up a bit of a rivalry, but he went to, basically outed a few of us. I got told I was too old at the club,
How old are you at that point?
23. Fucking ridiculous,
What?
huh? I know this gets me rolled up as
Go
well.
on, give us
yeah. I got told I was too old at 23 to win a title again at APIA.
23?
Yeah, I remember actually that year was the qualification game for the 32, which is obviously it's where APIA want to be. It's a massive game for us. I actually scored that game in the 119th minute or something like that to put us through.
This is the APIA first grade gaffer said you're too old.
Yep.
Aye.
And you were still playing at this point?
Yep.
Aye. And how old were you at the point?
I was too young.
That's fucking hilarious. Too old, buddy. Like, what the fuck?
And then whatever, we went through that game, and then 3 days later I was back on the bench, and I was absolutely steaming, and still steams me to this day.
Who's the gaffer?
Pool D.
Paul D. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, I remember we played a game and I had a really good game again, but it's actually funny. It's another night out story, but who would have thought it?
Do you like a night out?
Yeah, I guess so, if it's there. If it's there. But yeah, I remember actually it was my brother-in-law's box party, and the first minute of the game I cut my head open. But I played the game, got the physio to patch me up, went on the night out because I couldn't miss it. And then the condition was that if I go to the night out, that I have to go into the hospital later to get it stitched up or whatever. Go, yeah, I promise you, just patch it up, thanks. Anyways, I remember we were a frequent at one of the bars, and I checked into the hospital. They told me it was going to be an hour or two, so I thought, all right, I'll just go up and
Get a few pints and come back.
yeah, and head back. Who do I bump into? Don FP, a few of the boys. I was steaming a bit. I just like laid out everything on the table there. And I think it was that night as well where they could see where I was at. That was a very big low.
So you was at the point just vented as like this?
Venting.
Aye.
Probably venting a bit too much, to be honest. I wonder why, but yeah, like it happened.
Aye. Tough time as well, but like obviously a lot of shit is going to be COVID. It's probably
Yeah.
the last thing you need is your football not to be going the way you want either.
Yeah, it was a bit of that, 100%. And yeah, it's just like those things when you sometimes think it's unjust, but it's just football. It's
But I
part of
think that
football.
again, that you look at what you said earlier in terms of teams having night out and the importance of it. This is one of those times that people do say things that they wouldn't normally say. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually quite.
Aye, so moral of the story, just get
Yeah, go out.
Just
Just
get smashed.
go out,
Smash, lads, enjoy yourself.
All right, if you say. No,
I don't think you needed your permission there, mate. You're away anyway.
But yeah, eventually, whatever, we finished that year. Then I think DC came the next year. And yeah, the clubs didn't think I was too old. And
It's good that you don't hold any grudges, isn't it?
No, it's really good. And for people that know me, they know, yeah, that's for me to hold a grudge, it's out of character. I don't have great memory, but when it sometimes comes to this sort of shit, I got great memory. But, yeah. And yeah, so I'm still too old for APIA, but I'm still there.
So yeah, good,
class.
mate.
And then obviously you went on 2023, you won the league.
Yeah, that was a very big high as well. I don't know why I skipped that.
Yeah.
We bopped the competition that year.
We bopped
Yeah,
it.
we did. Like,
Outstanding.
well,
Yeah.
like we played some sexy football, as one would say.
I remember you played us at Lambert Park and we literally could not get out our fucking half, man.
Yeah.
We was the first in NPL 1, man. We could not get fucking out. So when we kicked off, I was like, to Berko straight away, oh, fuck. I was a bit peppered,
I
man.
went out with Louise and Ollie after that game.
Oh,
Actually,
did you? Yeah.
yeah.
You got peppered.
It was a laugh. We're talking about that. But
It always leads back to it, then I'm out.
yeah,
Night out.
not me. Yeah,
And then and obviously they won the Waratah Cup in 2024 as well.
yeah. That was also another good game. And
What about that getting played on a Wednesday? Was that a wee bit frustrating? Like for me, like cup finals are so good. Like on Wednesday night
they
after
used to
work.
do it on the weekend.
Was it used to give everyone the weekend off? So
Because
I had to go and watch it.
It was the year before. It was the Sunday after the season finished.
Yeah.
Aye, that's right. Aye.
Yeah, that I guess it shouldn't be played on a Wednesday, but that was a great night. That was a really good night.
Night out as well.
Just a
Tamish.
semi.
It's
Just a bit
tough, tough midweek.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
Like Brazil, bit of a semi.
No,
That's
that's not a semi.
It's not a semi.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so that was another good time.
And obviously, cannot skip past Futsal Roos.
Yeah,
Tremendous achievement.
yeah. Thank you. That was hectic. That was unbelievable. And like again, he knows how much I thank him and Daps.
Yep.
And the club as well, because they were so understanding of it the whole time.
Brilliant.
I think Frankie knows how much that sport is to me and how much it makes up of me as a player. So although I wasn't, I guess, great for APIA at the time to have me out for 6-7 weeks, I think Frankie understood me more as a person to like just sort of allow it. You know, like I come back and he knows Frankie gives me the yes to run through a brick wall, and I like.
No, we
I
did
run
mention,
through
but we
that
mentioned
one
it
right
off. Oh, I think it was off air when we said mentioned like how thankful you were to Franco for
Yeah.
that, and we spoke about how it could go the complete other way because if as a club you think you're doing right by the club, they go no, you have to be here for the club.
Yeah.
That relationship is completely different. But then it's actually worked long term in your favour, because now, like you said, you run through a brick wall from
Yeah.
because you gave you that opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that Franco even said to me at the time. He goes, "Look, I'm doing this as well because I know when you're back, like it's
Yeah.
you know type
Focus.
thing." So
I think that, as you say, just to kind of build on that point, it's so important in that relationship in terms of you knowing your players and knowing what means a lot to their players. And I think that you often find, I wouldn't say often, maybe that's unfair, but there are moments when coaches don't really know their players. And if you don't take the time to know your players, they won't do what he would do for you.
yeah,
And it's that element of football is something that I think that's maybe was a bit better, I would say, when we were thingied, but maybe I suppose us as players would be we didn't need that kind of relationship, I suppose, as much.
yeah. I think the faith and everything that Frankie and Dabs have for me, it's just makes like every week is. I guess it's probably the first time in my career, to be honest, where I proper play for the coach. Like it's like you know, and like whatever they need from me, I do. Like so, whatever the role is for the whatever. Like it's just the relationship we've built over time. Like it's you know.
Try to get himself a new contract on air, unbelievable.
What a night out.
I was going to say there's alcohol in that coffee cup.
Yeah, we'll talk next night out, Frankie.
And you scored a goal in your Asian Cup debut.
I never thought you would ask about that. You seen that was with the right foot, yeah? The right foot. Yeah, that was unbelievable. That was hectic. Like, the playing in the stadiums and shit over there was a joke. Like, even the arenas in the pre-tournament were sold out. Like, they had fans waiting an hour and a half to take photos with us, and you sort of stand there and be like, I'm that guy.
That's very surreal.
Man. But yeah, after that goal in the Asia Cup, that was like, I don't even really know what I was doing, to be honest. I felt like my legs weren't even, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. That feeling was like, I don't know.
Such a high.
Yeah, such a high. My legs were just sort of moving towards the camera. I did this, that.
Your legs moving towards the camera.
Just dancing towards the camera, thinking you were in Brazil.
Yeah, pretty much. We did a few hand signals. I think we know what they are.
It is good to have someone on the couch who's been away to a national tournament with their country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was surreal. It was hectic. Had some good times.
It's class because you actually light up physically as you talk about it. Do you know what I mean? It's nice.
It's a type of thing like years away from when football's said and done. Like that's the one thing that, not the one thing, but like that's one of the things.
The moments
that will never be taken away from me. Like type thing. Like I've scored in an Asian Cup. I'm pretty sure on a night out I almost lead with that.
Was a YouTube clip of you scoring the goal?
Yeah, pretty much. No. Yeah. But that was hectic. Like, that was unbelievable.
Class, mate, class. And now, on to yourself, Mr. Parisi. Where are we going to start? We've got a lot to get through. So, your youth and your football upbringing, what did it look like?
Everything was very local for me, so I just loved the game. And I think the one bit of advice I give to any, like parents are going crazy now, they love it, right? They love it more than the kids.
Fucking love it, man.
And so I give them honest feedback. I said, look, honest, from my perspective and my journey, it's because I wanted it and because I loved it.
Yeah.
So if your kid, boy or girl, loves it, says, Mum, Dad, I want to go to training. Mum, Dad, take me here, take me there. Do it.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. So everything was local for me. And where I'm going with that is only up until under 16s did I then put my hand up, Mum, can you take me to the state camp? So I didn't want to know about, at that time we had reps, so representatives, state teams. All of it was a no for me. I just wanted to stay local. I
Play with your
for-
mates, play local, yeah.
I played for 5 Doc, then at under 10s, I moved over to APIA, and you can see some of this old memorabilia.
Class.
And it was all down the road for me.
Yeah.
APIA still to today is one set of traffic lights away from home for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
super.
And so it's always made sense for me in that regard. Besides the passion and the love for the club, it's always just been home for me. It really is home. And so through that, I stayed at APIA all the way through until that under 16s. And then at some point, I only decided to leave because APIA at the top level was state league, whereas I went to a club who was playing in the old national league, and that was the motivation.
Yeah.
So up until under 16s, I didn't want to know about any representation. So now, again, to parents, I say, you don't have to be in the elite of the elite programs at 12, 13, 14. You don't. You have to have your kid, boy or girl, in an environment that they trust, in an environment that they love, and hopefully with coaches that have their best interest at heart, even if they're not tactically or technically amazing.
Yep.
And we do expect the level of coaching to increase. So, you know, I've done my badges very quickly after coming out of playing. And what I've learnt through that is we need more and more people doing these badges. It's not just ticking boxes. You're genuinely learning things that you need to be there for your players in different ways. It's about understanding their psyche, understanding how to structure a training session.
Yeah.
Actually plan on it, not just rock up and say,
No, yeah, 100%,
hey, let's
mate.
do a 5v5. Everyone loves a 5v5. And there's merit in that. We do 5v5s all the time.
Of course, yeah.
But it's
Structured.
it's not just that, oh, I'm tired from work. It's a genuine, okay, what we need to get out of this session at this point,
Yep.
5v5's fantastic.
Basic, yeah.
And it's got to be that, right? So I just keep emphasizing to the parents. And now young kids are even asking me, what did you do or what do you think I should do? And I try to keep it as a perspective as I was as a player, not as I am as a coach now, because there's two different words of advice. As a coach now, what I'm learning, and it's not something I ever aspired to do. So rewind 5 years ago, when I was 37 and too young at the club, when he was 23 as well, it wasn't about how do I get into coaching. I just loved playing, and my feedback was no different then. As a young player, I just love what you do. And so, my junior days were very much around loving the game, doing what you're doing. And then at the age of 16, then stepped into the New South Wales team, went to the Institute of Sport, made the under-17s under-20s national team at 17, went overseas for many years, and then come back in, and then spent 16, 17 years in APIA first grade. So that's my career there. But through all of that, the life journey is what I talk about the most, and what I would recommend for people, or what I got out of it. You know, at 18, 19, when I'm living on the other side of the world alone, you grow up very quickly.
Yep.
You learn to judge a character super quick. You're in a world where people don't want you there because you're taking someone else's spot. You're in a world where it's overpopulated and money crazed. So very quickly you grow up. Very quickly you start identifying what life is, what football is. And so a lot of my journey as a player is who the person I am today. And in that small part of the world I play as a coach, as an ex-player, or as a human being, if I can help people or support people or give people that confidence, which is different to supporting them, there's two things there, then that's made my playing career and now the small part I've done in coaching all the worthwhile. And why, when I see what you guys are doing, and I love the banter that you bring to it, but you're giving informative information that's very relevant that not many people are taking the time out to do, I just love it. And then so I saw one, Jude Dolan showed me something awesome that you guys had a bit of fun with the sexy football, which I'm going to give credit to someone else for sexy football, right, in a second. I jumped at it. I said, I want to speak to these guys. I want to get on the show. And then when you guys said, yeah, we'd love to have you, and this is why we're here today, right? It's about promoting and making this sport so much better than what it is in this country. It gets knocked down for the wrong reasons, and it lacks promotion and motivation for the wrong reasons. So if we can correct some of the wrong reasons, which are typically people or media, we can get somewhere really special, because the participation, the enjoyment of the sport, the simplicity of the sport just needs to explode in every nation. Most countries in the world have already caught on to it. We're still caught up in a lot of different activities. So that's my part. Billy McCall is a guy that's been at APIA for a long, long time. And through my 16, 17 years at APIA, you've probably got more questions for me, but I'm going to keep going.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm going to keep going.
I'm enjoying it. I'm getting home there.
So Billy McCall he's been a massive part of APIA and still is. Nowadays he likes to operate in the background, but he's still very influential on how the club's formed. And through my younger years he was around, but definitely through the 16, 17 years in the first team, Billy was always our go-to. So there was many average seasons. So everyone kind of knows APIA now in NPL 1. We've been dominating the last few years, and that starts from like 2015 through to now, more often than not. But before that, yes, I was there. There's a lot of years that weren't great. Lambert Park was a dirt paddock. We didn't have a budget allocated to great players like Michael Kouta. We didn't have coaches like David DePuzzo in the club. We didn't have a lot of these things. So year after year, the club would do every bit of effort to get sponsors, get money, get the best coach available, do everything possible. But there was 9 seasons in a row we had a new coach every year. And 9 seasons in a row that at the end of the season, Billy McCall would come in and finish the season.
Oh, really?
So Billy McCall and I eventually become really, really close, and you know, he's a father figure. And Billy is the guy that talks sexy football.
Right.
Billy McCall is the guy that took us to beat Melbourne Victory in that famous FFA Cup, now Australia Cup.
Yep.
And you wouldn't believe, he's there in the tunnel before the game singing songs. Not I'm a Bee. I don't know if it was out, it could have been. But he was singing, "You are my sunshine." And before that, he gave us a story, and maybe one day you guys will talk to Billy McCall and you ask him about the Bumblebee story, right? And
What's it with fucking bees, man?
yeah, so Bumblebee story, and that's his team talk that has got us to go and beat, at the time, the A-League champions.
Yeah.
That's who Melbourne Victory were, and they weren't short of any players for that game. They weren't.
It was a strong team, basically. Aye.
Strong team. And at the time, that was unheard of for an NPL 1 club to genuinely beat Australian champions. Teams had beaten Mariners at the time and other teams, Wellington at the time, which were lower based, but to go in. And so this is Billy McCall. And then as he gets a bit more activity, he starts talking sexy football. And he's a Scotsman, so music is close to him. So he's always sort of rhyming and singing da-da, you are my sunshine. And he loves Rod Stewart. So we talk about if you think
Sexy.
sex. He sings this song, right?
Brilliant.
And so Rod Stewart's probably the reason we have sexy football, because of Billy McCall.
Ah, there you go.
That's class.
Billy McCall, sexy football for the Scotsman.
That's interesting, man. I think that's, again, looking at the kind of headspace going into a game like Melbourne Victory at that point. I can only imagine that players are up here.
Yeah.
And having your leader being so calm,
Yes.
and as you say, singing in that manner, and it being so relaxed and jovial as you go on the pitch, almost takes the pressure off you and brings you back down to being like, this is all right.
Just a game of football.
Aye.
Just a game of football.
Yeah,
That's
and
brilliant,
so
man.
what happened? We got up 2-0.
I don't play the occasion,
quickly.
sort
By
of,
half
yeah.
time, it was 2-0. And it's exactly what you're saying. We had the belief, we were calm, and we knew what we needed to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we spent days on end working on shape, tactical awareness, set pieces. I mean, we won by a set piece. I can assure you we didn't practice that piece.
Yeah.
I've just picked up the ball,
Stuck in a mixer.
looked for the biggest guy, Nathan Milgate, seen his run. His run and his header are the thing that make my ball look good, but I intended for him,
Yeah.
and we win 3-2.
Yeah.
But we didn't practice that.
Yeah.
We just had belief that we could do that,
Yeah, that's half the battle, isn't it, really?
and it's that simple.
So you mentioned you went to the AIS.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, amazing. It's sad that it's not a program anymore. I mean, it still is.
Who's the coach there?
Steve O'Connor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. This is a worthwhile story. I was in year 11 here in Sydney, and school at the end of year 11, you think, can't wait for the year to be over. So the institute say, do you want to come next year? I said, no. I said, why don't you come and have a look? I'm thinking, yeah, 5 days off school.
Magic.
Here we go. The moment I walked into the place, I knew I had to go.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I come back home, tell my parents. I never thought I would say this, but I'm going. I'm out. 16, pack my bags, I'm out. And I knew. There was nothing in my mind that was taking me away from following my football dreams. So from 16 up until 24, that was all I lived and breathed. Then after that, at some point, I've stepped back and assessed what else life offers and where I need to be long term. But at that time, I know we've had some great stories tonight about nights out, but that didn't exist for me. The first
yeah,
drop
yeah,
of
sure.
alcohol in my body, I was 22.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
I
aye?
think I've made up for it. But,
We've heard you made up for it.
yeah, but nothing mattered. It was this. I was married
In a
to
bubble, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds wrong. I was married to a ball.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all that mattered. And so through all of that, yeah, that's what I like to share with people. That
But it takes that. But sometimes it, like, pretty much takes that to get to a good level. It takes you to be married to the ball in that context, because the dedication. If you're not doing it, somebody else is.
Yep.
And they're taking that spot. So you probably needed to be in that environment. There's not a lot of environments like that anymore, is there? Not just. I mean, in different countries there is, but in Australia, there's not really anything can
You're not
replicate it
seeing it.
unless you're in a professional club
Sydney FC, one
full time.
And so the Institute of Sport was brilliant. So back then, at 16, we were honestly insisted on learning prehab, which even now I've still got senior players or mid players that just don't get it.
Yeah.
It's only when something's wrong they start freaking out.
Yeah.
Avoid it. You can avoid it.
Yeah.
Prehab is so important. And it's still to this day, with all the technology we have, all the mental support, life support, we still don't get the basic functions of performing sport. You're an athlete, there's still basic elements before you even get into the psyche, right? That your body just needs to do that. So your nutrition, so important. You know, there's people I'm speaking to recently, you know, one of these guys, having a lot of salt during the halftime break. I'm thinking that's not good if you're cramping up. Like just assess it. So we go to the Institute of Sport, and at 16, you're learning that school is still important. You're learning that nutrition is everything for life, not just for sport. You're worrying about prehab, what you can do on your own, what you need to do with the team. So at 16, you've got a lot of things going on in your head, but it becomes really clear really quickly, really simple, clear, concise, and coherent on a daily basis. You've got facilities available at all times. A masseuse, which at the age of 16, you shouldn't be thinking of, but now that's a whole different disaster. But up until 16, I didn't want, don't touch me, I'm fine.
Aye.
If I'm sore, I just run through it, it's fine. Now, I'm not saying that's the solution, but in my time, that was it. And,
Sometimes that is the answer as well.
Yeah,
though.
of course
Yeah.
it is.
Suck it up, you're fine. Go.
it was just never in my mind to stop.
Yeah.
It was never in my mind to stop. And so the Institute gave you a playground to not stop.
Yeah.
So we had an indoor centre you could use anytime you want. We had grass fields, beautiful grass fields in Canberra.
Yeah.
You can access when you want. And as a team, we would train every day at 4 to 6:30. So Steve O'Connor, we asked about before, he would spend an hour every day just tactically working through everything. So between 5 and 6. And that's why sometimes 6:30, because you want to stay back and actually do a bit of football. I'm like, I've come here as a skillful, young, creative, open-minded footballer, and you've turned me into a robot.
A robot.
But I loved it.
Yeah,
But at
yeah.
the time, I didn't love it. You're right. So I ended up staying there 11 months. And then at that point, I said, get me out of here.
So what were you doing during the day? So
School.
Oh, so
School's
school's the-
important.
Yeah,
So that was
okay.
one of the things I said. The importance of still studying
Yeah.
school
It's-
and
do you know
knowing that life is still there afterwards.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
It sounds it's, even now, looking at people that adults in general, as you say in life, they don't know anything about nutrition, and we have this conversation often. There's things that they're so vast that they seem complicated, but the principles of it are really quite simple.
Yeah.
And as you say now, if you're educated to that in a young age, it becomes very easy for you to do forever.
Yep.
Whereas if you don't give people that education, then they're on to plums ultimately.
Yep.
It's good, man. It's really good.
So the Institute was fantastic, and it's a shame it's not there because there's so many things I learnt. After every session as a playing group, we do 15 stretches as a warm down.
Yeah.
That's what I learnt at the Institute of Sport, and it served me to play up until I was 39. So there's something about that, looking after your body at all times. There's something about that. Now we talk about ice baths, we talk about all the recoveries. That's important, but it can be as simple as just sitting on the floor and going through 15 motions with 30 seconds, alternate legs. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be every morning, wake up at 4:30 before the sun rises,
Aye.
go for a run on the beach, then go through a hot steam bath,
Aye.
then a cold
Do
water.
a John
And you've got to
Nolan
do that for
fucking-
35 minutes exactly before you have breakfast.
And obviously, you have to do it on Instagram as well, but so people know.
Yeah. so that can maybe, like, I don't know, maybe Formula One drivers are the elite in terms of things like that, or Cristiano Ronaldo has proven what he's doing. And so maybe there's elements of that. Novak Djokovic, I believe, took tennis to a new level when he started doing sort of
But that's
gravity
they need the
yoga.
0.1%.
Yeah.
Because they're already, everyone else has already got 99.9999.
So the basics, there's no excuse for anyone. When you talk that level, then yes, you are wanting and expecting to be delivering at the highest level, and you get rewarded accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
So you
course.
do it.
Well,
or
for
you
our,
don't.
our level, mate, I say this to our lads all the time, like, you can sit in an ice bath, you can turn up your fucking matcha tea, whatever it's called and all that. So, but you've been grafting all day, you've probably not had a decent meal. Just go home, get your dinner and go to bed.
Yeah.
You need your sleep, you need a good meal.
Aye.
That's going to get you 98% of the way there. The other shit that you've just spent an hour and a half doing in the sauna and ice bath, you could have just went to bed. Like, you've just wasted fucking time. I think that's the big thing with all that sort of performance stuff is there's the principles that are always going to be forever right, because it's the human body's not going to change. Technology will change. The principles are physiology is going to remain the same. The human body is what it is. The bones are the bones, and if you know how they work, then
You're all right.
You're all right. But it's the strategies that have confused people. Like if you look at nutrition, the principles are, if you want to gain weight, lose weight, are going to be calories in, calories out. You're going to have protein intake to recover, repair muscle, build muscle, carbohydrate for energy. But the strategies to achieve those things is where people go bonkers. Between keto diets, carnivore diets, high carb, low carb, that's all these strategies. They all can work. But it depends. People do all the strategies all the time, and then they start to lose sight of the principles.
Yeah.
But same as football. What is the principle? How are we defending? There's many strategies, formations, etc. How we achieve that, but are we deviating from what the actual principle is? It gets the outcome. Are we focusing on the outcome? Are we focusing on all these little different mechanisms? And now it's just about looking cool in it on social media. That's pretty much half the battle. Or your mate tells you something, you're following a really good strategy, but then your mate's told you something, you're like, oh, maybe actually that looks all right. And then you're doing this random shit that's just wasting fucking time. And at elite level, it's fine, like you said, because you're only training 2 hours, and then you've got 22 hours to sleep, massage. You're almost just trying to kill time.
100%.
But when you're grafted, you're working all day for some people, and then
I do.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. If you're playing FIFA, but I mean, if you're obviously working all day, you get different financial stresses, social stress, all that stuff, and then it's like, well, you don't really need the 1%, mate. It does look good, your Instagram. It's good to tell people you do it, but that's what's not that's not moving the needle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not moving the needle at all. And same for skill stuff, mate. Some people don't do they can be better at the final ball, but they're spending all their extra time doing all this extra gym, like a massive proponent of gym, obviously, but gym work and the saunas, night cryotherapy, and I'm like, go with a bag of balls, mate, and work on your fucking crossing. I mean, you're doing these one-on-one sessions, you're fucking looking at iPads and fucking touching coloured cones and shouting random numbers and all that. I'm like, again, looks good on social, but get a bag of balls, mate, and work on your left foot. Get a bag of balls. Take a video of your technique. Go and ask a good coach what's going on here. Was that good? Why is that going wrong? Doesn't take any energy to do that. It takes time. Mentally, it's draining. That's what moves the needle, man. They're the real principles of that doesn't happen anymore. Now it's fucking mental. There's just so many fucking things out there, man, to do. And that's where the confusion comes in. And you know, as a player, more than obviously me now, but nowadays, do you not find yourself on the internet just thinking?
Yeah, I think some people you can look at and you can be like, you would get more worth staying out of the gym and just working on technique and things like that. I think that's, in the end, it's football. Like, if you don't have a touch, then you can't play football. If you want to be CrossFit athlete, I don't know, whatever you want. Like, I'm a big believer that gym is, and things like that are such an important part now, because the football, like modern football now, is very athletic. Although I think technique overrides almost everything. Like, if you have the technique, you can build up a bit of explosiveness in the gym. You can build up to leg strength doing the squats and things like that. But technique has to be your foundation.
Oh, it's a give and take, mate. Like you said, Franco, earlier on about being available. Listen, you could be the best footballer in the world, but you're not worth anything to anyone if you're sitting on the bench or you're sitting in the stands because you're injured.
Yeah.
So, yes, working your technique, get a good player, but you need to make sure you look after yourself to be available, because, I don't know, for us, the only question the gaffer cares about is who's available tonight? Like, what's my training session tonight? Who's available for the weekend? All the other bells and whistles, like, oh, he's not available, but he's done a cracking session this morning. I one-on-one with this guy. Want to see it? No. I don't care if he's not available. That's all fucking matters. And that's football, man.
So you were 11 months, you said you lasted at the IS?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Well, so at that point, I mean, I wasn't intending, I didn't just walk out. So at that time, I had gone to Sydney Olympic, back to where I said I'd stay at APIA at all times, and I had a gentleman's agreement that as long as APIA was in the top tier of the level that I was playing, that would be the only team I'd play for. So I would never play against APIA, so to speak.
Oh, class.
And so I'd gone to Sydney Olympic the year before, and then they ring me up. At the time, it was Frank Arrock, if anyone knows him. Yep. So he's an important part of Australian football, absolutely. He rings me up, he says, you need to come back. I said, I would love to. and as the story goes, 3 weeks later, I debut at 17 for Sydney Olympic against Canberra Cosmos in Canberra. 2 goals after 5 minutes coming on. And
you scored 2 goals.
And Steve O'Connor is there watching. And we kind of left on bad terms after the game. I just said...
Oh. 2 goals at 17, your debut?
Yeah, in 5 minutes.
Superb.
So,
Brilliant, man.
And a great story there, and hopefully any of the Sydney Olympic boys. We used to have a bonus structure. So there was the 4, I think they called them White Knights because they were all Greek owners. And they put in their own money in a big way, right? And so the bonus structure would be, if you win a game, it's $800. Every player that's in the squad. The next game, if you won 2 in a row, 900, and then you know where I'm going with this. So you could build up to.
Do you know what's next, Kouta?
Hey?
After 900, do you know what's next?
If you win the 3rd game,
Franco.
He knows. Then, so what happened up until this? So I wasn't there, but they had won 4 in a row. What do you got?
No.
Oh, John, go, that's good, man.
Dropped on him.
We're good. We keep going. And then the boys had won 4, and I'd only just come back, so I didn't even know. As a 16, 17-year-old, they gave me a contract. Yep, fine. We were losing 2-1, and I've come on and scored 2-2, 3-2.
Oh, fuck.
So the boys, not only have they loved this young kid coming on and just scoring,
You've spent a few hard dollars.
but I kept that bonus going.
Yeah.
So I was a star straight away.
Buzzing. Did you get that bonus as well?
Yeah.
Brilliant. 17 years old.
And the other one I got, which was a contract. So I guess at the time, and they probably still do it now, right? You're giving 16 and 17-year-old contracts that if you play.
Yeah.
It's if you play, not when you play, right? Unless you really know. And so I had $2,500 bonus if I came on, another $2,500 if I started a game. So I got that
It was a
money
good night,
pretty quickly. But the first from that game, that $2,500 plus, I think it was 1,200, right? This is the year 2000.
Fucking hell.
That's a lot of
Nah,
money.
it's like 2000.
PlayStation come out. I went and bought myself one.
Brilliant, man.
And I'll never forget that because at the time, and I was never going to ask my parents for a PlayStation. Like, don't spend that sort of money. But I just got this money, which I didn't at the time, don't need or don't value or don't care.
Yeah. At that age, anyway.
But it's money I can spend, and there's a PlayStation.
Ah, brilliant.
Brilliant, man.
And so that's a good story for me.
That
But
is-
yeah, the boys.
That's a hell of a lot of money.
For a 2017
And
year old.
then maybe 4 games later, the Branko Chilena, who was the guy brave enough to give me a go, then he started me a game. Again, at 17, I'd only been back at the club for a few months with the first team. And I wasn't big boy. Like, I was always my age appropriate in height. And physically, I've always been really lean. Like, I played at 70 kilos, like lean. So I was not there because I was a strong young lad. I was there for other reasons. And so, yeah, he's given me a start again at 17 in the National League at the time. So these are great moments that you take with you. And then I'm now fortunate enough to be in a position that we've got a few young talents at that age. And I know exactly what it feels like or what it takes. We went to Canberra, and who did I room with? I roomed with a guy called Kresimir Marisic, who was the most professional guy still to this day. And I was put in a room with him. So already at the age of 16, 17, I'm learning what it means. And so I had a lot of good stories. And it was because I was patient and I loved what I was doing and I wanted to play. Nothing was forced in my career. Nothing was ever something that I felt I needed to do. It was all just be patient, work hard, be the best you can be respectful, be professional, be available, give people no excuses not to pick you, not to love you, not to follow you, not to get behind you. And you fast forward to these years, and I still hope that I entrust in people that I'm genuine, I'm real, and what I give you is everything, and what I can give you is as good as I get. So that's my story today.
Well, I think a big thing there is when you're talking to a lot of young people, well, not talking young people, but I think patience is something that's sort of difficult these days for some people to grasp because of you get that instant gratification with email, text message, everything's instant, and half the battle sometimes is just being patient. And you, like you said, give me a reason. Don't give them a reason not to pick you. Like that's again, there's like two simple principles. It's like, can you be patient, and you can do everything to make it. Like if you sit down in a gaffer's meeting, why am I not starting? If you can say there's no reason why you shouldn't be picking me, like at that point, stack the deck in your favour. I mean, I think nowadays that's gone. Patience is definitely gone. I think the biggest, to go back to your story of trials at 20s and all that, I think the 20s to first grade gap is where patience is very thin for players because you've into your 20s. It's a bit of a funny age group. The 20s, I don't want to say it's not competitive, but there's definitely something element missing there for whatever reason. And a lot of those players want to jump and go straight to first grade. Some of them aren't ready. Some will be ready if they're patient, but they're not quite. Don't have that patience, and then they end up sort of losing the nut a wee bit. And I think that's something that's missing. I don't know how you get it back, but I think if players can you teach patience? Think?
Nah.
Can you teach patience? I don't know if you can. Maybe it's your environment, how you've been brought up, or morals or principles.
I think you see that the issue now is that when we were kids, we were bored. There was a lot of time
True.
spent being
Very
bored.
true.
We
Yep.
didn't have things to do. You didn't have an iPad, and you didn't.
Yeah.
So you had to just learn to be and be all right with where you were,
Aye.
and find ways to kind of keep yourself occupied or amused or whatever it may be. Whereas now,
You need a
as you
fucking
say-
PlayStation. He was flying.
and then you kept the change. But now, obviously, everyone just gets everything as they want it. So they don't have, as you say, the opportunity to learn. I think it's a learned thing. Is patience. It's not something that you just have or don't have. But it's hard to learn it when you're our age, I suppose.
How did you find going to? I mean, one thing's always interesting listening to like pro players. Like, so you look at Frank Lampard and Gerrard and that, going from great players to be going into the coaching, and they quickly realise it's a completely different ballgame. You listen to Wayne Rooney's quite a good one to listen to because he's quite grounded, and he always says, like, I was a world class player, but I'm like entry level coach. How did you find the transition from playing to coaching?
See, before we go there, right? There's a lot of stuff here. Morata Cup winning, 2015 Player of the Year, first Premiership in 30 years for APIA. Like, there's loads to go through, right? So, can you give us highlights for you, personal highlights? I'm putting you on the spot, and I do apologise.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. On the field, there's many, right? And mostly, you've got videos to show that. But what's the highlight for me is the people I've played with, and the involvement I've seen at the club, and even sitting in this room, the involvement of the following of the league. That these are the highlights, because you've got to keep moving forward. I rarely would want to sit here and talk about something that's long gone. I'm talking about how has that shaped where we are now. And so that's the highlights for me, that I'm able to have an influence as a player, come through as a coach, which will tap into where you've gone. That's the highlight for me, that I've genuinely been able to stay in this space at a high level. I call it a high level because it's still semi-professional, but as a semi-professional, it's a high level.
Yeah.
If you compare it to professional, that's not right. It's not apples with apples. So to be able to stay in that space, and then that transition from a player into a coach without losing touch with what that looks like. So the highlights for me have been the players I've played with, to be able to have a significant influence on the league as a player and now as a coach, and to see how things evolve through the club. You know, there's a genuine commitment on the club for the males, the females, the boys, the girls. It's all the men's down through to the boys, the women's down through the girls. There's a genuine program to create a pathway, or to create a safe environment for players, the best players that we can attract, to be even better. And so my highlights bring me back to where we are today. And I don't know that I can pin. There's a lot of sexy goals. There's a lot of sexy football. I'd like to think that I see the game on the field in a way that I can't explain. And so my coaching hasn't followed how I played, because I wouldn't have the patience, even though I do have patience. I wouldn't have the patience to explain to someone how to do something on the field that came natural to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as a
Oh, that's a good
creative
point,
player, you're wasting your time trying to do that. And
Yeah.
if I'm trying to tell our creative players what they need to do when they're naturally creative,
Yeah, you just need to let them be.
then I've missed the boat as well. And potentially some managers that are brilliant footballers try to pass that on, they've missed it. So I've adapted. I've tried to adapt very quickly from that. So as a player, what I could do, but I do think my highlights are hopefully, and I guess it's been validated, the club retiring my jersey as a number 10.
Yeah.
A number 10 is a highly sought number. It's retiring jersey doesn't happen. So I think if there's a highlight that sums me up as a player, that there speaks volumes, because it's not me saying I was great. It's other people saying you were great.
Yeah.
And I'm not in that saying I'm great. I'm saying other people have said I was great. So that's the highlight to lock that in.
You said to me he was a wee bit overrated, did you know?
Franco. I did not say that.
The absolute
That's too
shock
easy.
in his
That's
face,
too
man.
If they knew how easy it was with me, then this would have been
panicked,
bad. I'm glad they're just working it out now towards the end, otherwise I could have been in for it here.
Nah.
So
So yeah, that's what I would take away from everything, and know that I can genuinely still keep giving, for as long as that looks and however that works. Yep.
Quality, mate. I didn't know your jersey was retired. That's cool. So is it in a frame in Lamp Park, or do they give it to you?
I've got it, and it's purely in the seniors men's space. We're not trying to disrupt any other space. When I say disrupt, there's some kids still want it. The women's program has its own respect.
Yeah, I felt
to,
it.
to find someone. I think they're thinking of a couple of people that they've had, but they haven't quite gone there. But yeah, I think that's probably the nicest way, because I still couldn't say that about myself.
Yeah.
But when something like that happens, it's a big thing.
There's nothing better.
massive, man.
We spoke about this in terms of Player of the Year. Obviously, NPL does the awards night and stuff like that, and you have I don't know how the Team of the Year or how they vote for it. I don't know, but I think the best award as a player is always Players Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I think when your fellow players or tell you the Player of the Year, it's like, I know you all think I was good, but when they tell your actual players tell you're good, it's like, I must have been good. I must have been good, man. So that's a hell of an accolade, mate.
And I think what happens, but we don't know this for a fact because people manipulate it. I think it's always the same as the coach's player, right? But what happens is sometimes the coach will say, okay, I'll give it to someone else.
Right. Okay.
So I think if there was some honesty policy, you'd find that, and I tell a lot of players, a lot of our own boys, 99% of the team picks itself. The players pick themselves. Like, there's no one in our team asking me, why is Temba playing? Like, you just don't ask that. You just know why he's
playing.
playing. Right? So there's always fringe players. There's always moments that change. There's always... but I think a player's player is the ultimate. But I don't know once where it hasn't been the coach's pick. But I know a million times where it's been presented as not the coach's pick. So it's an interesting thing. But I agree to the point. The players know themselves who the best player is. And so you don't need a coach's award if the players are picking it because it's the same person.
Well, we want to do, I think, something we're trying to do this year. We probably need the help of people from NPL New South Wales, but to do a champion football players player of the year.
Let's do it.
And try and go through the clubs. But you need that honesty policy. Obviously, sort of the way to do Ballon d'Or of like APIA players can't pick APIA players and do something. But I think if you won that as a player on NPL, I think that'd be fucking pretty cool, man.
That's
pretty good, pretty good. So we probably need the help if you can try and get it in amongst the NPL New South Wales awards.
100%.
A bottle of champagne, mate. You'll probably neck it right after, right enough. But
And then you'll sign for a new club the next day.
No, you guys have to do it, honestly.
I would definitely just need it. We touched on it last year, but we left it too late. And a few boys get back to us, they'd done it. But I think we're probably going to look at it midpoint this season. Talk to you. Now we've made more connections with clubs. Go, right, for instance, Frank, can you help us get the boys to vote? And then go through it. There's obviously going to be a bit of favouritism, but it happens in the professional level as well.
I think over 30 weeks, favouritism will dilute, right?
Yeah.
In the current situation, I think if you guys can get to it sooner than later, because I think you want to start capturing Player of the Year from now. So if someone's had a brilliant first 5 games, they're no chance of winning the Champagne Football of the Year. Yeah. Because you guys weren't thinking about it. Not saying you weren't thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I would get onto it as soon as possible. Whatever you need from me and the influence in our space or even other clubs, I'll support it.
That'd be class,
you can do it yourselves, I know this, but no, you must. And I think you need to needs to be over the year. Too often awards are given. People the last 5 rounds were killing
boxing
it.
match, last 2 rounds,
They're killing it, and that's who I'm voting for because you vote at the end. And
but then do you know
I've
what?
said too much.
Actually, maybe the way to do it is to have a halfway point, so we get 2 votes from each club.
Oh, aye.
In terms of players, because
so round 15 and round 30, you say each club.
That's already an improvement. But I mean, probably you'd look at AFL, NRL, or other codes in other countries. They've probably got it right. The Dally M and so on. They do it.
How do they do it?
On a weekly basis. They're capturing numbers. They're capturing. But it's got to be a credible source. It's hard when you're relying on journalists or some coaches to really understand what is that criteria. So maybe look at NRL and what are they looking for? Is it the player who's most influential? Like even A-League now, they've got it. Let's go to A-League. Let's stay on A-League. Let's stay on our code that we love. A-League do it, but it's now a bit stats based. So I'll let you guys do the research. But it is Alex Tobin medal, I believe. Yeah. And that's done on a weekly basis. And each game, players are getting 3, 2,
points
1
for that,
on every single game. So that should remove the bias. Obviously, from game to game, you might think Kouta had an amazing game, and I'll agree with you, but you may think, Kouta, we conceded 2 goals. How are you going to give him a point as a defender, right? So there's different... So that will work itself out over the year, but I think if there's a better continuity around rewarding those 3, 2, 1s, but it's resources.
Aye, that's what I think we have to do. A player's player. The players will pick for us. Because I think as a player, like you said, like you play against some players, the boy in the semi-finals of the World Cup or the final, where he absolutely rinsed you.
Corey Biggs.
Your man there, but say he had a good season, you'd be like, straight away, he's been amazing. You'd probably keep an eye out for him each week. You hate playing against him.
Yeah.
We usually ask that question to players, like, who would you, if you were playing a game this weekend, who would you like, bastard, I'm up against him this weekend. Yeah. Like, they're usually the players, just like, for me, Temba comes up all the time. Because almost every striker we spoke to hates coming up against Temba. I mean, so I think those players sometimes don't get recognition, especially like defenders. Goalkeepers are the same, actually.
Actually, we were actually talking about this at training last night. I actually think the standard of goalkeeping in NPL 1 is tops just now.
Aye.
Really good, man.
And most of them are jumping into A-League
Yeah, it's really
without
good.
a blink.
Aye.
Like, we went through the list of all the goalkeepers, and it's like good keeper, good keeper, good keeper. Like the standards great, but as you say, they'll never get recognised for a potential player of the year because it's just not what happens.
I guess goalkeeping's shite, mate.
Most important part of your
I
team,
could
mate.
feel something coming.
So back to what Gary was saying. Obviously, you've had a pretty seamless, let's say, transition into management. So you've been 2003 was the first year.
23, yeah.
Yeah, 2023. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
And then in your first 2 years, you've won 2 trophies.
Yes.
Yeah. So it has been seamless. How did you find it?
So straight away, I mean, this is another good story. So David DePuzzo and I, probably the last 7 years that we were playing together, at the end of each season, we would get away from the game, go do whatever we did work-wise, family-wise, and just before pre-season was coming through, we'd get together and say, are we doing it? Are we doing it? And it was, we're either doing it or we're not. And so the same thing happened with the coaching. The club rang me, said, do you want to do it? I said, no. I want to keep playing. I'm not qualified. I have no experience. They're my mates. It's a no.
Yeah, tough transition.
Fast forward, whatever weeks it was, let's do this. Enroll to the C license, then the B, then the A, and now I'm going to keep pushing on. So I'm credited in good quick timing. That's credit to Football Australia as well, who have assisted in ensuring I'm able to be enrolled. And so it was the same thing with Dave. I looked at him and said, I'm not going to do this without you. And do you want it? I offered it to him first. And we got to the point where I took it based on...
You offered him the head coach job?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Based on commitment and timing. And so David, young family business. So we agreed we'd do it together. And then by default, someone had to commit to being the head coach and someone committed to doing the accreditation, which David has done now as well. And so if you ask Kouta, we do it together. No one says one is above the other. We're there together, right?
Yeah.
And that's been the success. So I could stop the story there. But where it went from, we both knew that what it was going to take was to give our players everything that we wanted as players. So from day one, our approach of football, regardless of sexy football, regardless of 4-2-3-1, regardless of principles of play, regardless of in-ball possession, out-of-ball possession, regardless of any of the things that people talk about, it was about what do the players need to win NPL. And we knew it because we'd played it for so long.
Yep. And you'd won it.
And we'd won it.
Yep.
And we knew what it took as a player. And so all we tried to do to transition to coaches was to create that environment. So then getting all the staff. You guys in? Yep. Okay. What do we need? Is everything fine? We need proper balls. We need proper balls pumped. Little things that still at other clubs, you look at them, there's patches on a ball, it's flat. Little things.
Fucking flat balls, man.
See?
It's the worst, man.
So we started thinking, okay, as a player, what did I not accept? And as a player, what did I enjoy? And when you start piecing that together, it's quite simple.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of that evolved. So transitioning from a player to coach was like, what did I miss or what did I need? And just deliver that in the clearest, best, consistent way and adjust as you need from team to team, moment to moment, field to field, and just cover off everything. So you try to shield from your players things that they can't control.
Yep.
You try to control that. You try to understand your opponent and your league. So if we were to take on the women's team or to take on an A-League team, and I say we because it's David and I, right? We'd have to review it all. And I'd probably have to study that league for hours and hours. I didn't have to study NPL because I lived and breathed it.
Yep.
So I was already ahead of the game. Culture is critical in a team, in the dressing room. We as players had already set that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was already there. And Daniel Cummins, who was before us, he had played a big role in that. And other players that I'd played with, which is part of my highlights, because we had set a culture in the dressing room. So when Michael comes in 2019, he played a big part of that, but it was already there. We were at the time I was calling them mad dogs. Now I'm calling them sick cunts. Like we already had that environment, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what your age is. So coming in as a coach, the dressing room was fine.
Yeah.
The players were very fine in terms of ability. It sounded wrong. And all we had to do was put together our knowledge and experience across that. And you fast forward, this is now our 3rd season. And when we get it right, in every time that we get it right, we've followed that. When we haven't got it right, we've strayed away from that. And that's the reality of life. You've got to stay focused. You've got to be on top of things. And any moment that we haven't succeeded as a club in the last 2 years, they're things that David and I reflect on immediately and say, okay, what could we have done just to ensure that that didn't happen? And that's a continuation of what does it mean to transition from player to a coach, just to cover over everything that these boys need to be at their best and to have all the information available to take what's in front of them. The referees, it's not something that we want to get involved in, so I just ask them to respect the referees.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask. And I try to speak to the referees and pass my respect to that. That's fine. Weather conditions, when you play in summer and people still elect to have Sunday afternoon games because you bring more crowd in, it's not great for the players' well-being. So I can't control that weather, but both teams are playing in it. So if you're tired, how's the other guy doing? So make him more tired. You dominate him. You keep the ball more than him. You make him feel how he felt first half against Corey Bixo. And then I tell you who's saying the weather's hot. They are.
Yeah.
And so these are the things that we just try to. So to go from a player to coach, I let go of who or what I was as a player. I let go of that. And I only held on to that what as a player I needed, not what as a player I did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that resembles anything else.
No, it's like simple. It's like stripped down to the bare bones of simplicity. Of like, what do they need? Let's start there and build from there. And that's obviously players respond to that. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Because you're looking at it from a player standpoint as opposed to from. But I like because as a coach, the one thing everyone's guilty at some point is overcoaching or over trying to get I've got all this knowledge. I want to use it all. Rather than be like, okay, it's not about me.
Aye.
What do these guys actually need? You might only need a tiny percentage of the knowledge you know and apply it all. Like you said, it's already there. So I just need to put wee touches here and there on it, and it will take care of itself. And realistically, if you've got the good recruitment, you recruit well, for that culture, then it can sometimes just take care of itself, and that happens. That's good, mate. Good.
Yeah. Last question. Obviously, the B League is starting this year, and we have touched on it. What are your intentions, let's say, for APIA? Obviously, go in and win, but do you feel that you have enough strength in terms of the squad that you have just now to go in and be competitive with everything else that's involved with it?
Yeah, so from our perspective, we want this to be a success, and we want Football Australia to continue the second year, which they've committed to, and then push for that to be a regular season.
Is the second year going to be similar format as first year?
Yeah. They're suggesting that the first year, but I think once the first year's done, then everyone will reassess. So whether we're competitive or not on the field, I definitely believe we have the right players.
Yep.
But it's about we want to be as professional as possible. And that's why the investment in improving our socials, improving the profile of the club, the profile of our people, it's all set up so that there is a success to this competition.
Yeah.
Now, whether we beat South Melbourne at Bob Jane or not, as a player, that's going to be super important. And for me, results is everything. But it's about, can we convert another 10, 20, 100,000 people to follow our code that aren't currently following it?
Yeah, brilliant. Aye, good.
Not to cannibalise A-League and not to take them away from NPL, but to add more people and more quality of people to that competition. So as a club, we looking to do that. And how do you do it on the field? You have the best players that are performing, that are getting results, playing sexy football. Off the field, you need
World-class
to,
sexy football.
Yeah. Off the field, you need to engage people. You need to give them a reason to be engaged, give them a purpose, and I believe the club's doing a lot of that. So that's what we have to be talking about. That's what we have to be driving. And so competitive enough, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's not enough.
Yeah,
It's got to be bigger than that.
It's a good way to look at it. As you say, I think that the most important thing from our point of view and what we'll try to do is to build that engagement and get more people involved. And as you say, it's something we all love. There's plenty of people that love it. We just all need to kind of push in the same direction at this point, I suppose. Class.
Okay, got predictions?
Predictions. So every week, obviously, we go through 12 games, 4
Okay.
in NPL 1, NPL 2, NPL 3. Keep score of winners, how many we get right. So last week, Troy gets 6, B gets 7, I get 9, and Gary gets 7.
We do a little league table at the end of the year to see. Dom Costanzo won it last year.
Yeah, so No pressure. Wolves at home to Sydney United.
Just I'll go. What is it? Do you know what the date's on? Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Don't know.
Don't know.
I can check.
So United, I just need to win that. I'm gonna go draw.
Draw.
What you boys saying?
Is on
I'm going United.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sunday 3 p.m.
Yeah, I'm going United.
What are you saying, Franco?
Wolves.
Wolves.
So I'm going to go Wolves as well. Home. You're going United. I'm going home. Blacktown at home to Manly.
Blacktown.
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 Blacktown across the board. St George FA versus St George FC.
Why derby? I'm gonna go base St George. Always forget what one
It's
that is.
at Penshurst.
I know I'm gonna go base St George.
Base St George, that's FC.
I'm going FA.
Away, home. I'm going to go draw.
Me too.
Sydney FC at home to Mount Druitt.
Sydney FC.
Depends what team they put out right enough, doesn't it?
Does. I'm going FC as well.
I'll go Sydney FC.
Same.
NPL 2, Bankstown City at home to Blacktown Spartans.
You didn't do the APIA game?
No,
Nah.
we do 4 from each
Do
league.
4 from
Ah,
each.
okay.
But
It's not about NPL 1, mate.
We're trying
Try to grow the
right,
game,
you're
yeah.
right.
So this
I
year,
just need to.
this year
Use one more
last
predictions
year
on
we
that.
would do it. Obviously, just pick any games. But this year, if the guests are involved or either of us
You
are
stay away
involved,
from
we're
it.
not.
Ah,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
a stitch up in it. You're gonna say
fair
Apia.
enough.
Sorry, to disappoint you, mate.
Yeah.
So who didn't win the Apia game?
APIA. And if I was playing the responsible, probably
To
be
be
more
fair though,
aggressive.
it's a big game.
Is
At home at Rockdale, yeah.
At home at Rockdale, is that what day is that?
Sunday, 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Sunday 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Is it aye? Cheeky.
So Spartans away at Bankstown City Lions. I've went draw.
I'll go Bankstown City.
I'll go Blacktown.
Bankstown.
Bankstown. Hakoah at home to Northern Tigers.
Tigers.
Yeah, Tigers.
Tigers. Mounties at home to MacArthur Rams.
Mounties. Oh, do you know what? I'll go draw.
Draw. I'm going to go Mounties.
Yep, Mounties.
I'll just choose draw because I haven't picked one yet as a draw.
And Hills at home to Bulls.
Hill's not up there.
Yeah, but they lost 3-2 at the weekend to Berries, but they've been decent.
I'm gonna go Hills.
Hills, I'm going to go Bulls.
I'll go Bulls.
Bulls.
Away and away. Right, NPL 3. Top of the table class. Parramatta at home to Hustle Zagreb.
Oh, tasty that. I'll go Parramatta the week off, didn't they?
Yeah, the week off. I'm going Parramatta as well.
I'll go draw.
Draw.
Zagreb.
Zagreb.
Oi. Fraser Park at home to Bankstown United.
Bankstown United.
So
Bankstown.
Same. Prospect at home to Central Coast United.
I've got no idea about any of those two.
I'm going Prospect.
Are they, where are they in the table?
Higher on Central Coast are struggling. I don't think they've won.
Okay,
in
we'll go
5
Prospect.
weeks.
We'll go Prospect.
Central Coast.
I'll go draw.
And Nepean at home to Sydney Uni.
Nepean. Comfortable victory.
If you don't pick Sydney, after the start
I'm going
of
draw,
this-
mate.
Yeah, they've improved a lot, by the way.
Yeah,
They have. I'm going draw. I'm backing Sydney Uni.
yeah. You go. I'll go Nepean.
Nepean.
Nepean. And I'll be watching that game.
There you go. Guys, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
time, lads. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Was that your longest one ever?
That was
Elrich is close
Were you
as well.
trying to cut us off?
Tariq and Ahmed, Elrich is quite long as well. Thanks, lads.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good episode, man.
Bit of banter.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
What was that guy's name you said? The gaffer was the one.
Oh, Darren Yoka.
Danny
Darren Yoka.
Yoka.